Hello and welcome to European Challenger Series Summer Playoffs. I'm here to bring you today's semi-final clash with James Stress O'Leary. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. We've decided to come back inside, indoors.
Yep.
Because apparently we're not going to play video games. We're going to watch video games indoors, but not being outdoors. It's kind of weird. I don't really know where the world is right now with Pokemon Go going on, but we're entering the playoffs for Challenger Series. Let's take a look at the bracket, see how the teams got here, how they're going to advance, who can get themselves forward. As you can see, 2 best-of-5s are on the docket for the semi-finals.
Yeah, it's fairly simple. These guys need to get into the semi-final. Oh, they are in the semi-finals, then get to the finals. So simple, and I mess up. And then you go into the promotion tournament after that. So we can take a look at today's schedule here in just a second, and it will be a best-of-5 between the first matchup you saw on your screen just there. It will be Misfits and Epsilon. And of course, Misfits were that first seed coming into this matchup, whereas the 4th seed was Epsilon. That's how semi-finals work. And you'll see it in just a second, I assure you. There we go. And you can see the side selection as well there.
Yeah, exactly. So Misfits had the choice for 1, 3, and 5, being the highest seeded team, and as such, they have chosen the blue side for those. So as we continue on, if you need anything else when it comes to all of your information for Challenger, LCS, and anything on the road to Worlds, really, head over to eu.lolesports.com, and as of a few hours ago, like an hour ago, you can put /Coaches Week on the end of that one, and you'll find out all about Coaches Week for the LCS right now.
Yes, indeed. Exactly the same way you would have done for Mid Lane Week, and all those fun articles are over there. But for now, we are going to focus in on our matchup for today, our best-of-5 between Team Misfits and Epsilon. Starting with the rosters here with Misfits, top lane Alfaria, Wisdom in the jungle, Selfie in the mid lane, Hansama in ADC with Ignar in support. And if you've just joined us and you haven't watched Challenger up until this point, Misfits haven't lost a single series to split, went 4 wins and 1 tie record. That one loss that they had was to 4G, who aren't even in the top 4 here.
No, and that was such a long time ago as well, right back at the beginning of the split. Yeah. But since then, everything that Misfits has done has been to do with strong individual performances. Straight up, they've just kind of outplayed a lot of their individual lane opponents, and because of it, the team hasn't even been behind at 15 minutes in any game. They've averaged the lead every single time, and it's been a very strong, convincing performance from them.
Yeah, pretty much. You can go one step further as well, and you just look at the lanes in general, because every single player has the highest kills and assists in every single role, as well as the highest CSD in every role. Everyone has positive CSDs. Even Ignar has a positive CSD. They're just crushing everything.
I think the one that really highlights it, for me at least, is when you look at mid laners and the number of kills they've got, because usually you look at that and everybody's kind of got a good bunch of kills. Yep. There's a lot of action. Selfie's 25 kills up on rank 2, so he's way, way far and away the rank 1 with 60. Which means under that it's like 35 is the next highest kills for mid lane. That's insane. Yeah. Selfie's crushing it right now.
I think the stats speak for themselves, but even if you just watch Misfits games, it's just so clear that they are so much better than apparently everyone so far. However, the team trying to take them down today is going to be an uphill struggle for sure. It's going to be Epsilon on the opposite side. So Sartorius in the top lane, Kirei in the jungle, Konzaku in the mid lane with Woolite in ADC, and Noxiac in support. Very different story, as we've kind of already painted the picture, I feel, for Epsilon. They really struggled in those early weeks. They were against some of the better teams, I guess, that we've seen now coming into playoffs to try and get those results. But as the weeks went on, they would face like kind of weaker opponents like Nerf, for example, and looked better. So which one is it? If they just stayed consistent throughout the entire split and just the teams they've been facing, or what? That's kind of the question we have here.
Yeah, that's the question, and I'm looking forward to getting that answered. But the answer we got last week, at least from Epsilon, was how important a 2-0 is in the final week of regular split play, because get those 3 points, hop above everybody else, get yourself into the playoffs, and who knows, if you can just throw out all the bad performances and continue improving, like the guys from Epsilon said in the interview last week. They're like, yeah, we feel like we're really good. Personally, maybe I'm a little bit of a pessimist. I feel like it is more the strength of schedule rather than improvement looking at their games. But still, maybe another week on now, playing in an offline environment, perhaps we'll see even further improvements.
That's very true. I mean, all these guys are with us here in the studio playing in the green room. So being together, we could see changes, positive or negative. I mean, the thing that struck me last split was how Millennium were a completely different team coming in, as well as Copenhagen Wolves. But anyway, at the start, we did talk about Epsilon having kind of like the stronger players, at least in terms of like their history and pedigree, because a lot of players have come from LCS, they come from teams who have managed to get to like CS finals, and we're like, this team looks really good when you pair them together, and then when you watch them play, they don't seem to actually be on the same level as Misfits. So it seems so weird coming into this best of 5 saying that Epsilon are actually probably the underdogs here.
I would say they certainly are when you look at it. I mean, there was that funny thread that was about like Misfits are beating LCS teams, which every single team that's ever placed first in Challenger has always been like, we're winning in scrims, which by the way is still good. But I think still is a factor that when you compare Misfits across the board to Epsilon, I don't see any single matchup that Epsilon can win, which means they're going to have to win this game together. It's like, I feel like their bottom lane...
Through the power of friendship.
Yeah, through the power of friendship. I think their bottom lane can play for a more defensive style, perhaps, or at least a little bit more utility-based. Play to go even and let the game open up. The last time these two teams faced against each other was the longest game we had in Challenger. So we know Epsilon can draw Misfits later into the game. If they can do that, maybe there's a chance.
Yeah, I mean, one side of it is like prolonging the inevitable, and the other side is actually having like a game plan when you get to that point and see if you can draw them into team fights and outplaying them, because Misfits have shown tendencies to overextend sometimes if they have like an advantage in the early game. They typically still win, but they still have like that problem, right? So maybe Epsilon, the later they can draw them in, maybe they can make something happen. But we'll see. It's a best of 5. Many things can happen. Also, the stamina of the team as well. Maybe Epsilon will just look better in a best of 5 preparing for this one opponent. We'll have to see as we head here into Champion Select. And let's see what the prioritization is going to be. If I can get my words out. So Rise and Azia are going to be the first 2 bans in from Misfits, and Braum aimed at Ignar. So taking away some of those tanky supports from him. Sivir as well at Handshammer. So actually taking away some of the utility ADCs.
Yeah, I like these, or at least the setup from Misfits when you look at what they take away. They say, let's reduce CosQ's pool a little bit, get rid of that Azir that we know he's played. Rise is also very effective, so get rid of some of the higher tier mid lane picks, because I feel like Misfits will be very happy with what Selfie can bring. No real jungle impact yet. Elise could be a first pick here. Nidalee could be and is.
Yes, indeed. So Vladimir was the final ban out from Epsilon. Nidalee, as you just mentioned, was the first pick going to Wisdom. Pretty strong. I mean, yeah, we've seen how well Nidalee's can do in terms of like carrying the early game. Wisdom has had some great performances on Nidalee as well. But also is down to the rest of the team to make things happen. I remember Spirit was actually on Nidalee the other week, and while he had a fantastic early game, the team couldn't win.
Yeah, I remember he didn't win and then tweeted Nidalee's a useless champion. Yeah. So, like, Spirit went from being 4-0 with this perfect record. Everyone was like, you can't let him have it. And now he's like, I hate Nidalee.
Yeah.
So, what it will offer, of course, is, as you said, great early game. The difficulty there for Epsilon now is they've got to find something that matches up well against that. Jungler that can either handle the pressure. I guess Elise would be the one that you go to next. You just snap, think about that. And I guess that is locked.
Yeah,
yes,
Elise is locked, so got that locked in. And also Ashe as well for Warlight. So taking a more utility approach, which I like. That's exactly what we said pre-game, is just like, see if Epsilon can go even in the bottom lane, take like a utility pick and try and engage during mid-game, because you know you're probably not going to be able to deal with Misfits one-on-one, or at least in your lanes. Maybe look for a lane swap as well, something like that. But Ashe has been picked up for Warlight, and now we're just waiting to see what Misfits will pick up here. Typically, they will go for lane-dominant picks, so that's kind of what we're expecting to see.
Ashe has been Warlight's most played champion as well. 3 games on record for it here in Challenger at least. 2 wins out of the 3, so 2 of their total 4 is, you know, I guess it's not a bad pick for them. As always, I hate to say the old story, doesn't have an escape on Ashe.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it doesn't stop being true.
No, it doesn't stop being true. It's a positioning game, and ooh, first time in a while that I'll be casting Gangplank. We've seen it in the European LCS, we've seen it over in LCK. A lot of people just picking it up in that top lane. It's a scaler, it has side lane control, good ability to deal with a lot of threats.
Yeah, I'm glad to see it coming back. I mean, he still does a lot of damage. It's just because he got nerfed like 7 times in a row. Yeah. And then it just felt like other champions overtook him. Then the tank meta came in. And now we're seeing more carries in the top lane. So Gangplank is returning. So see how he does in this game. Being picked very early into the rotation as well.
Yeah, picked early on. Clearly, you know, comfortable pick for Alphari. Speaking of comfortable picks, if there are any Misfits fans that are thinking, Handshammer on Lucian, that's got to be good, well, I can reinforce that by saying in 3 games, he's only died once on Lucian.
Yeah.
So generally has been a great pick for him. 16, 1, and 11 on that pick. I'm going to try and dial back some of the maybe crushing stats that Misfits have, otherwise people are going to be like, this guy's biased. A lot of the champions and stats look so incredibly good for Misfits. I think it's a little bit misrepresented.
Yeah. I mean, we could just read off stats all day, but you can watch them in-game as well. It's really exceptional. Well, we can see Epsilon, next 2 pickups will be Trundle and Karma going into mid or bot lane. Could go to CosQ. And yeah, Trundle also could flex to support right now. Yeah, double flex come out. Is that actually a Malzahar pickup? It is a Malzahar. So we've seen a Malzahar a couple times here and there.
Yes.
Hang on. So let's see where it's going. It should be mid lane. With Gangplank going to the top. Yeah, okay. So mid lane Malzahar. We've generally seen it as counter picks though.
Yes.
Into like a LeBlanc matchup, but
and also into Shen.
And into Shen. Yeah, but this has just been picked up straight up. Very cool.
So there is the outside chance that it's being picked into the Trundle and you're going to put Gangplank mid. I don't think that's the case. I think you're right on your first assessment that it's going to be the
usually a counter
pick
pick though. That's what's confusing me.
That is confusing me. And unless Selfie is so adamant that Malzahar is that strong right now, you look at every other mid laner that was available in this scenario, and they could have had a lot. I mean, only Rise, I guess there were 3 bans, but still Malzahar doesn't really float up to the top that quickly.
Apparently it does for Misfits.
Looking forward to seeing this then.
Yeah, well, yeah, I assume it's going to be mid lane.
Okay, Cassia.
And Cassiopeia as well. So CosQ going back to Cassiopeia as well. I mean, his Cassiopeia is really, really good.
Yeah.
So I just want like, I'd probably keep my screen on mid lane just alone, just to see how mid lane goes down. Because like, even if it is a lane swap, we're going to see the 1v1 matchup. So this will be very, very interesting.
I can't wait for this actually. We haven't casted a Malzahar in European Challenger, and I don't think we've even seen one in the LCS either. So really the only places we've seen it is LCK and a little bit of LPL. So it's gonna be a fun one for me. And now that we go past 20 seconds, that means we are locked into Gangplank top and Malzahar in the mid lane.
Yeah, we'll have to see what summoner he picks up because he had Ghost just towards the end. So we'll see if he actually locks that in. And we have a couple seconds left before they can choose that. But yeah, Misfits bringing out like 2 very fresh picks in the meta right now for 6-13.
And to speak about what Malzahar typically is good at, that we'll get to further and further, is good at pushing in a lane. Like, exceptionally good. That's why you generally see it as a counter pick. I'll use air quotes, even though I'm not on screen, into like Shen, where you just sit Malzahar there and Shen can never push into you because he's useless at it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Cassiopeia, pretty good at pushing out lanes herself. So looking forward to seeing this.
True. I'll have to see if she still gets pushed in early game, though, because Cassiopeia generally puts a lot of points into her E. Either way, jump on Twitter, use hashtags MSFWin or hashtag EPSWin. We'll check in what you guys are thinking at home later on into this game. Typically, when Misfits are playing, they have a massive fan vote victory. But we have seen in Challenger in general that, that people getting over 90% seem to have a curse. And just somehow end up losing the game. So gotta be careful of that. They want to get like 89%. That will be the optimal amount of percent to get for Misfits.
Just around that amount. No more than that. So as we enter game 1 of this best of 5, Misfits the heavy favorite with an unorthodox composition here. I mean, you look at this, they really have very little way of engaging a fight. They have a hook. They have Malzahar's ult, which I did just say that in like air quotes, engage, and like GP ult to slow people. That's their
basically.
tools.
Good luck, Ignore. You are primary engage for Misfits.
The other side of that is there's an Elise, there's an Ashe, there's a Karma, there's a Cassiopeia. So even if Epsilon can grab themselves a slight lead, they should be able to start fights fairly effectively.
They should. Whether they can get a lead is another issue entirely in this game.
Yeah, that's a big question because Misfits right now have picked a comp that's a little more akin perhaps to like solo queue, where it's like, let's just pick any kind of picks that we feel like are going to win this game for myself in the lane, and then we'll continue moving forward. Like Lucian Thresh, although it's fairly difficult to kill any lane with a Karma in it, like we've seen Hans Sama and Ignar getting a lot of presence in the early game.
I mean, that is the Misfits formula, though.
Yeah.
pick winning lanes and just try and win the game from there. And that's typically worked for them, having won 9 games out of 10 in the regular season.
Only thing they will need is a little extra time for top lane. Alphari with the Gangplank lane is not specifically a winning lane into Sartorius for a while. Needs enough time that he can utilize the barrels to clear out at least the range creeps so he can step up for the melee creeps. Other than that, he's going to have to just Q farm for a while until it pushes under his turret. Then he can get it safely. It's always the case with GP into strong melee matchups, but Noxiac in the bot lane gets flayed back, damage traded, but you can see Woolite has extra damage on top.
Yeah, that's the problem with trading into an Ashe and Karma, like long-range lanes when you are fairly short-range. When your Thresh Lucian has shorter range out of a lot of those ADCs. Kirai's looking for a gank in the mid lane. There's the Ghost being popped from Selfie. So burns that summoner, and he walks in range of Kirai. There's maybe enough down to flash as well, and the auto attack. He saw the ward go over this. It's like, this is fine, I'm just going to carry on walking. Kirai capitalizes, will not let a chance like that escape from him, and that was just a big misplay by Selfie, honestly.
Massive, overconfident misplay to walk back into lane against like an Elise who hasn't even exited your lane before. Like, that is depressing to watch happen. We'll take another look at it again. So look, Selfie doesn't necessarily read that the gank is there, but he's in a safe spot here that he ends up using Ghost. Good usage of it here because he's able to back away. The ward goes down on top of him. This is so greedy. Like, Kirai is still in the minion vision line here. Like,
Selfie saw the whole thing. He could have just carried on walking down and been absolutely safe. And then Kirai would have had to do something else. I mean, it's not quite as bad as the Xeon to Vladimir auto attack kill we saw last week, but still pretty bad. Wisdom, I think he got a little bit from that against Kirai, but trying to be aggressive in the early game, which we do see sometimes from Wisdom. And into the bot lane once again, constant poke onto Ignar and Handsammer. That's pretty much what they have to deal with when it's Ashe Karma in a lane. So they'll be having fun with that one for a while, but that does have implications on that mid lane matchup though, because I really just wanted to see that one-on-one, and now we're just going to see Selfie stand at his tower. So yeah.
Are you mad now that because of that you don't get to
ruined.
see the pure 1v1 from the beginning? I don't know. To be honest, if you do that, you kind of deserve to lose first blood.
Yes, you do, but
like,
I don't deserve not to see this matchup. It should be on Selfie. But yeah, he's just stood at his tower, and he's constantly getting harassed down by Cassiopeia, so...
And you can see already how difficult the time Selfie's going to have from this, because, like, obviously as soon as that grounded goes down off that miasma, Selfie's kind of dead in the water. He has to turn and use his ult. And if he mistimes his ult with the animation of where Cassiopeia's ult comes out, I believe it would cancel, right?
Yes, it should do.
I'm pretty sure it would. We'll see for that interaction if it does. That would be a very interesting scenario. If
it's possible. I mean, like, it's very often when you see both mid laners just like both trigger their ultimates, especially when the kind of combo patterns are very similar. So we'll see. Top lane, Alphari still trying to get to that point where you can one-shot those backline minions, but he's got the Sheen already. Sartorius is trying to play around these barrels. It's actually pretty difficult to activate barrels on top of Trundle because he has the auto attack reset on Chomp. So as soon as it's at 2 charges, it's just auto attack Chomp from Sartorius, and then Alphari, the projectile time is long enough so that it never reaches the barrel. So it's actually not a horrible matchup for Sartorius, at least early.
No, it should be a fine one for now. Once Alphari gets that Triforce, of course, it makes it slightly more difficult. Kirai spotted out on the trap and also now on the ward. So Wisdom is just waiting here because he doesn't want to hop the wall early. It would obviously give it away if there was a ward there.
Wisdom's gonna find him. They're both level 5 and they both trade off against each other, but I mean, Kirai's got so much more damage than Wisdom right now. He's landing pretty much all of it. Alphari sending up the barrels. He'll jump over the wall. Kirai will get that first kill. Coscu comes in for the potential save, but the barrel, or rather the ultimate in from Alphari will pick up the kill before that happens. That was a 2-for-1 trade. Advances to Epsilon.
2-for-1 overall. Wisdom did not respect the damage that was coming out from Kirai, who's already got himself The Wisp, hang on, double flay.
Nice hook combo in from Ignor. He's going to drag Handsammer behind Epsilon's bottom lane. Woolite's dropping low. He has to flash away before dying anyway to Handsammer. He's getting caught on minions, but Ignor will get after Noxiac. Hook's coming up, and yeah, there's no way Noxiac's getting out of this one. Double kill, and 2-0. That was just a 2v2 kill.
Yeah, so we had a bit of a blunder on the top side from Misfits here as Wisdom caught Kyrie, and Cocoon lands, so Elise basically wins the trade. That is almost every jungle situation between Elise against an enemy jungler. So at first, Kyrie manages to get it because of the extended range on Q, while in Spider form, in comes the rest of the cleanup kill from the GPL. So just back and forth up on that top side, but this is what we were talking about with this 2v2 is normally it's fairly difficult to kill Ashe and Karma, but at this point no ultimates for either of them. Means that despite the exhaust, you cut their escape path off, it forces Woolite back the other way around the wall, and from there he's always dead. At that point there's no way of him getting out of there alive. And Misfits finish off the 2v2 in the bottom side. Easy setup for Handsammer.
Yeah, Ignor played that so well, though. That hook into basically the whole setup was really, really nice. Top lane, Alfari going to get knocked into Sartorius and the ganking Cosq. There's just no chance at all. Cosq picks another kill in the top lane. And Epsilon are not having a bad early game at all. They are constantly getting these kills. And if bot lane hadn't just gotten killed, and they may also die again, Handsammer coming in here, full cutting, and that's Noxiac. Good ultimate in from Woolite will save his support's life. But had they not died in the bottom lane, Epsilon would be significantly ahead right now. Yeah,
they'd be in a great spot looking at the early game. You know, we talked about how didn't see any matchup particularly winning for them, and that actually has kind of ended up being completely wrong here because top lane is going their way, mid lane is going their way, a lot because of the jungle pressure and also from the picks themselves coming out of picks and bans. So Epsilon have done a really good job in the early game comparative to what we've seen other teams do against the Misfits. And we mentioned that Misfits have never been behind coming up to 15 minutes.
Yep.
They're currently behind. We'll see whether that remains true as we crest 15 minutes, another 6 minutes on the clock before that happens. But still, Epsilon showing a lot of bite in this first game.
Apparently, we'll see if it pans out for the entire series. Teams can change quite a lot in a series format, and additionally playing offline here as well in the studios. So we shall see. Handsammer, however, 2-0-0 in this game, and he will be strong in this game regardless. So a lot of this will be on his back, depending on how these lanes go. Because mid lane is significantly behind Cosq right now, over 20 CS. Top lane is down CS, and also that kill. 2 kills on Kyrie, he's been putting in work. And Cosq on a very comfortable champion, where he's already picked up the Abyssal Scepter. So, Ignor, he's waiting in the bush. The volley didn't hit them, they didn't know where they are.
Oh, the snap. The snap on the hitbox.
Yeah, I think that minion just walked in front of his hook as well, so that was unfortunate.
Yeah, it's one of those times where it looks like it's going to hit through the gap, but the hitbox pulls it. And because of the way it works is the reason thresh hooks always look strange is because they actually snap to part of the model where it's like he's actually hooking you around the neck, basically. And that's why you get those wonky, like,
and then it snaps to them.
Magnetized hooks that look weird. But yeah, it's a funky little interaction at least. So for Misfits in this middle lane, one bonus for Selfie that I'm going to bring up here, which I don't think is why he's picked Malzahar. But Woolite can't just ult him from halfway across the map a lot of the time, because he will get that crowd control immunity when his passive is active. So I don't think that's the reason that he's played Malzahar. He's like, I just don't want to get ulted ever.
That one scenario in this game, I'm invulnerable to it now.
There he is.
He's got that passive up. It's actually a really good passive, though. It's like just a better Banshees. If you walk through here, you're going to lose your passive. Got to take the long route round. He should have done that the first time he got ganked, actually. There's wisdom.
Oh, man. That first gank. Oh, depressing still.
Yeah, just a gank like that changes the lane state so much when it happens so early on, because then you lose a lot of farm, you lose experience, you're not going to hit level 6 first, and then you just have to play back in the lane because you're against Cassiopeia, who some of her early couple levels are probably where she's weak, and then immediately after that she just keeps on scaling, so it doesn't get any better.
Wisdom's trying to sneak this.
I mean, honestly, if no one interrupts, it's going to be fairly close. Well, Wisdom has defeated the dragon, and Kirei will turn the corner and realize, oh, there's no dragon here.
Yeah, he also got the nice giant warning as well.
Yeah.
that told him. But the funny thing in that scenario is Hans Sammer with the assist there, because he ran up and kind of provided a juicy target that distracted people from warding over the dragon wall. So, interesting stuff. This has been a funny old start to this game. Very different from what we were expecting. But jungler shows on the bottom side on that ward. And the game looks to... I was going to say slowing down, but it's not.
Ultimate in from Woolite, but Ignar turns up just at the right time. Hook goes wide. Hans Sammer returns a couple of those passive shots. Kirei is on his way down. Kozku is also on his way down, and he's given up, but Kirei has not.
Both of them across the rewards, though, which is the important thing. You can see Misfits already backing themselves away. So Epsilon still maintaining a lead. Hasn't really expanded in the last few minutes, but still the fact that they are ahead is a very good sign. This is really one of the first times that Selfie has been this far down. Typically he averages a lead at 10 minutes. Ooh, Ignar caught on that one.
Hook, nope. Kirei gonna dodge it, and the Spiderlings will body block the Javelin for him. Bot lane, Noxiac and Woolite are both hammering away at this tower. Should be going down fairly quickly. And Hans Sammer's gonna walk back into the bottom lane as well. Just has a Ghost Blade now. Gonna go forward here. Noxiac still packs a punch with his Q. Soul Flare. Wisdom clears away the pink. And everyone should be backing away temporarily. And as we approach the 15-minute mark, we are 1 minute and 30 seconds away. Misfits have... Oh, top lane, Sartorius almost picking up that kill. Alfaru preemptively put down Cannon Barrage as well, so has to burn both his flash and ult, but Sartorius did the same as he goes back to base.
The ult there was just to slow Sartorius, make sure that if he did chase him, it was pretty much a guaranteed one-for-one trade, even if he closed the distance. So a good little attempt by Sartorius. At least he's really holding his own in this matchup, but we have just got to the point where Gangplank has Trinity Force. Hook onto Noxiac.
Nice bait from Ignar, recalling into the hook, but White putting a lot of damage onto Thresh in return. Hans Sammer returns and tries to put the kill onto White. All finds him. Noxiac has not really got any more damage from here on out. Ignar's going to chase him down for another double kill set up by Ignar. And bot lane has 2v2'd their opposing bot lane twice now. 4 kills just in that 2 versus 2 for Hans Sammer.
Uh-oh, they got to be careful now, though, because here comes Ekans from the bush.
Flash ultimate lands onto Bo, but the hook into the tower and the flay as well. Kozku may go down, but he can't step into the miasma. Hans Sammer is revealed in the bush for a double kill in for Kozku, 1-on-2.
Didn't realize the bush was warded. Trundle died top lane during that. As actually Malzahar just roamed down, caught out Kozku from that. Wisdom now still top lane with Kirei.
Man, this is a messy game. Wisdom's found Kirei. He'll dodge out of range of the barrel and use that to jump back to his tower. Alfari will follow after, but the damage from Trial by Fire will be enough to take him out. And I don't even know who benefited from that prolonged trade across the map.
Explosive action all across the map on that one.
Oh, I understand. I understand why Misfits went for that play, because now they have the advantage at 15 minutes. There you go.
They legitimately do have
at the last second.
15. They have the lead. So this is the bottom lane play. Look at how Hans Sammer is constantly moving forward to get the kills. Despite the heal, knows he can trade it. And the flash forward, just to make sure he closes the distance, they get the second kill. This is the top lane play we didn't see because we were following Kozku down to the bottom lane. So Sartorius sticks around. I guess he doesn't see Wisdom get into the bush. Just stands to trade. In the barrel line? Kind of crazy. This point, Hans Sammer doesn't realize it's warded. So unfortunately, was never going to win that. And Selfie flash ult. Come on, where is it? Yeah!
It was Malefic Visions into just click R.
Hey man, that's the engaged potential we're talking
There it is, yeah, and that one-on-one. Fantastic. And this top lane trade. Kirei was playing it nicely, uses the barrel to jump to tower and kind of burnt out though.
It was a nice attempt. Unfortunately though, like descending onto a gunpowder barrel probably.
Which is lit.
Yeah. It's like maybe if I Mission Impossible my way out of this. Like,
not the best of tactical decisions, I'll be honest.
Kirei is here, trying to turn the fortunes of this bottom lane. 4-1 currently, though, is Hans Sammer. Only his second death in 4 games on Lucian.
Yeah. His KDA has been absolutely ruined now, because if you have 1 death, it's fine, but 2 deaths, gonna halve all of that. Ignore walks into the bush.
He's dead.
He is so dead. Arrow into Cocoon, and you are just not gonna get out of that. There was so much time on that CC.
And that's the benefit of this composition with so much engage coming out, is you log one part down and the rest of it all falls. Like the very easy Cocoon into Arrow, into follow-up. No real way of escaping that one. And that's going to be how this game continues to play out realistically. When you look at it, Epsilon have so much potential to start fights, whereas Misfits do not. One thing Misfits, I guess, can have the later this goes is Gangplank controlling one side lane, maybe the second with his ult. Malzahar without TP, I wouldn't say is the best champion for holding the second side wave.
True.
He can push it, but he'll never regroup with you fast enough.
Selfie. Oh, there's the interaction. Turns out Cassiopeia, hard counter to Malzahar. And that long-range Twin Fang will tag Wisdom on the way out. There we go. We have the answer to our question. If you both ult at the same time, Malzahar gets wrecked.
Because he has to basically be facing you.
Yeah.
Which means he's always going to get that ult cancelled.
Oh, man. Yeah. That looked so good for Selfie as well. He landed the full combo, and then Kozku picked R and won.
It was great timing from Kozku, though.
Yeah.
Because if you mess that timing up, if you don't have a good understanding of the range on Malzahar's ult, you basically have to ult and all in before he gets out of the petrifying gaze.
Yeah.
So that he can then turn the damage back on. So Kozku's having a great game. This is more reminiscent of Kozku from last year.
Spring, at least, if not summer from last year, yeah. Yep, the rise of Kozku, or the rise again. But there we go.
Oh, watch for it.
Perfect timing. Oh. Yeah, once the animation starts and Malzahar pops his own ultimate, you're locked into it, and it will get the stun off anyway. Well, good to know.
Yeah.
And Selfie, he picked the Malzahar first, and Cassiopeia was picked into it. So that's why I was very curious to see the Malzahar picked up first instead of a counter pick to another mid laner, because there's better blind pick mids right now who are still available in this game.
There are. And I'm still kind of looking at it and being like, what is the true purpose of this Malzahar? Because, like, we know his strengths, but running it with Ghost means you can't cross the map fast enough. I guess you can run it, but it's a long distance and you're never going to cross for fights. It's going to be able to defend waves pretty easily and push them back fairly effectively, but
it's not like an instant clear compared to like a Cassiopeia. Well, I guess it's still not like an instant clear, but it's faster than Malzahar, because like you get Call of the Void, and usually that's not enough to one-shot a wave, and then you wait for the Malefic Visions and the Voidlings after that. So people are still going to be able to hit the tower if you're the only one defending with wave clear. But you will have Gangplank most of the time anyway.
Speaking of hitting towers, Misfits wanted to get mid lane.
They do take towers very fast though.
Yes, they do. And again, they have really good clear and pushback on waves, especially with the Gangplank as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this game continues.
I mean, we can't underestimate the damage from Gangplank as well as this game progresses. Like, 2-item Gangplank is always going to be a terror as you hit mid and late game. Absolutely hits like a truck. So Epsilon need to play around that, but it feels like Epsilon do have the tools in this game to play around pretty much everything that Misfits have, though.
Definitely.
Because they have the engage, they have a lot of ways to get out of fights as well.
They have
with
good scaling.
Karma. They have good scaling. And Misfits, a lot of it, I feel like, went into winning the early game, in which, to be fair, bot lane destroyed Epsilon bot lane, but top and mid and jungle didn't do quite so hot. Not going to blame that too much on Wisdom.
Nice little sidestep, but Carrier was fine at all times there. Yeah, I mean, Kozku being 5-1 is enough that Epsilon just need to hit crowd control for him, and Kozku basically wins the game for them. Easier said than done, with Selfie being able to deny some of that crowd control. And then they have to kind of be careful with the ultimates, but we've already seen Kozku holding his for the right timing.
True that. There's a pink ward battle in that bush there, but mid lane's being pushed in. Alfari will be able to clear it out. Woolite is going to try and punch him. Has to flash away. Ignite was just in range for the hook there. That would have connected without Woolite's flash. So he has to back away, and can't really pull any maneuvers like that for the next 5 minutes now. So good pressure advantage to Misfits. Here comes Selfie. He's got the ghost popped. He's going to try and get in range to use his ultimate. Nidley's going to fly to victory. Kira will flash over the wall. Woolite's in a one-on-one in the backside with Handsammer and gets obliterated by the Lucian. Both of the bot laners drop there from Epsilon. Sartorius needs to back away. CosQ is trapped on the wrong side of the Dragon Wall.
Misfits ping mid lane turret though. They want to get that down. They want to make sure they're getting more objectives from this rather than just kills. And honestly, Misfits in that scenario probably didn't have a lot of right to get most of those kills. So much of the crowd control there either whiffed or just looked like it hit minimal people, and Handsammer just soloed down Woolite at the back of the fight. Yep. He just flashed on top of him, and if this is one of your first times watching Handsammer for viewers, this is exactly what you can come to expect from him. So Wisdom got caught initially and got locked down, and that's what actually leads us to do this. Okay, so it's the Ash Arrow onto Wisdom, but look at the rest of Epsilon. They can't cut in through the jungle to convert that kill, and it put Woolite so far out of position that Handsammer punishes him for it immediately. At the same time, Selfie was killing Noxiac on the bottom side. Still going to be careful with everything that Malzahar's going to bring. Is still going to have that suppression, still going to have a lot of damage on a single target.
Yeah, he still does a lot. Oh, 89%! And I swear to you, this is not scripted. But that's the perfect percent. You don't have the 90% curse, and you still beat your opponent by a massive margin. GG.
I swear to you, this isn't scripted. Either that or somebody's actually trolling you back behind.
Well, there's like a group of people who have like voted exactly enough to get the exact number. Perfect.
They balanced it out.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Well, this game has had a lot of kills. 18 kills so far. You very rarely see like laners kill each other, but we've had many lane kills. And right now, like, Epsilon's bot lane is really not doing great. Like 6 out of the total 8 deaths they have. Oh wait, 10 deaths is just in the bottom lane. Yeah, not so great. But the rest of the map is performing fairly well. Sartorius is holding his own right now against Alphari. Kiray's had some great invades up against Wisdom. Mid lane was also assisted by Kiray and then had some good roams into the top and bot lane. So this trifecta, the Holy Triangle, we'll see if it can do some work just like Giant's Holy Triangle. Bot lane, Sartorius is trying his best to defend, but he knew the tower was going to go down and will just pay for it for his life. So not really sure why he stuck around. Mid lane, Epsilon are going to find that mid lane tower. Good hook by Ignore. Flash comes in. He's not going to death leap to CosQ. Miasma will be thrown down so they can't follow up. There's the AoE speed up from Noxiac as well. So a couple of things happening on the map. Yeah, Malzahar not the best champion at flanking 4 people at the same time, so Selfie will back away.
Especially when there's a lot of crowd control still there. So that was just a conscious choice by Epsilon to just trade mid for bot. Yeah, Sartorius maybe should have backed away a second or two earlier, just instead of trying to trade. I think he thought if he had the tower aggro juggling properly, it was initially on Wisdom. I think he thought if he could hold Wisdom under the tower, it would be okay, and he could trade it 1-for-1 and lose his tower. Which, since they were getting mid lane tower, would have been evened up anyway. There was a really funny thing where like Ignat flashed away from Woolite's arrow and got caught by like the tail end of it. And still ended up stunned, so nearly cost them under that mid tower, but it's all good. And you can see how much the crowd control is influencing what Misfits are having to do by the fact Handsammer very early QSS. It's like after second item, just get me a QSS. I don't want to get Ash arrowed. I need to get myself out of harm's way. Still though, with grounded, he'll be hard pressed to dash and flash out in most situations. So.
Yeah. Luckily, because he's 1,600 gold over his opponent, he basically just picked up that one and is still at the same relative combat strength to Woolite. Of course, they're going for different builds as well, but so that means that Lucian is way stronger than Ashe in a 1v1, as we saw earlier in that fight.
I mean, 5-1 Lucian, 0-3 Ashe.
Yeah. Just in time. And flash over the wall from Selfie, that's the full combo plus the ultimate, but Trundle doesn't care. He's going to be dropped down to half health, but that was a full combo in from Selfie. So, yeah, I mean, he's pushed him away from the bottom tower, so he got his objective, but still, usually with that full setup from Malzahar, you just expect his target to die.
Normally, he was setting his minions on him, though.
Oh, Kiray's going to have to jump away. Death's Daughter, empowered cannon barrage, drops him low. Noxiac receives a spear. Wisdom's going deep, way too deep. CosQ very happy to pick up a kill underneath that tower. Burst of Petrifying Gaze, and Woolite!
Oh, death by
Voidling
touch!
finishes him off, and Sartorius and Kirei both very low. Both of them have the Malefic Visions on top of them. Call of the Void, he's so low! The Voidlings are chasing him down! Is it going to be enough? Not quite, very close. But it's enough poke damage from Misfits so they're able to take down the tower. Koski gets silenced, he can't even return fire.
Selfie needs to go out, find some gyms and train a little harder because his combat points were not quite strong enough to get the kill on Trundle there. But man, Misfits very overconfident at the start of that, but then they managed to turn it back around with the damage that was put down onto Woolite and the rest of Epsilon. So you saw Wisdom jump in. And yeah, was it Deathfire Touch or was it a Voidling? I think you were right on it.
I think you were right.
Okay, because
we'll find
out because I have a lot of difficulty keeping track of all of the minions at the time.
All right.
So we're going to find out. Hansama just dashes in. So, where is it from Selfie? Some damage comes out in a little bit.
Here's the message from Wisdom. Just going too deep. There's nothing else to say about that. Oh, there's the Voidling dying. So maybe it is Deathfire Grasp.
Oh, it is.
It is.
Deathfire Touch.
Yeah.
I clocked it when he came into the game. I was like, okay, Deathfire Touch.
Yeah.
Seems legit, and here we go. This is the attempt. Clearly a Team Mystic Malzahar, because that was not very good at all.
Yeah,
so.
I can agree on that one, Mr. Valor. And then the rest of the fight was, well, it wasn't really a fight. It was more just, I have silence, and you're a spellcaster, so yeah, you can't do anything. And that is something you have to get used to against Malzahar, because there's no other meta champion right now that has a silence, right? Like,
a lot of silence is taken away. Only Soraka, if you look at supports.
Soraka, that's true. Because Garen has a silence. Cho'Gath.
Yeah. I think
Fiddlesticks.
That's mostly it. Yeah, Fiddle as well. So yeah, a lot of the meta champions do not have silences. Silence, by the way, for me is one of the most frustrating types of.
It just
like,
confuses you because you just like you'll click on them and then you start walking towards them.
Well.
Oh yeah, Cassiopeia means you take Baron very, very quickly.
But there is Alphari's
ultimate. I swear to God, if it steals it.
This would be the best RNG ever.
Yeah, did not get it. Kirei secured it. Look at the damage coming in from Misfits, though. Selfie finds Kirei. He'll blow him up off to the side. Alphari jumps over the wall to try and save him. Sartorius trying to get after him. Chump will finish him off. Wisdom and Alphari should be more than enough to finish off Sartorius, though. And it's just a matter of time. That was a 3-for-3 trade. Baron over to Epsilon, so there is a net gain to the red team.
Yeah, it looked like just somewhere around middle lane, Hansama actually was taken out by Cosq during this fight, so we'll take another look at it again. Maybe we can get it even further, slightly zoomed out way. So Hansama was forced all the way back, tried to QSS and just go straight back into Cosq. To be fair to him, nearly holds his own against both of them, but nobody was there to support him, and we already saw the top side of this fight go in the way of Misfits, so Baron was picked up by Epsilon. They are still behind in this game, but have that Baron buff alongside them. So they can utilize that to kind of hold some of the side lanes that Misfits have been pushing in on.
Still a really nice call from Epsilon, just pulling the trigger on that Baron as Misfits had already gone back to base. So yeah, really heads up play from Epsilon. Something we haven't really seen that much from them. They just seem to generally be playing better. So what we asked at the start of the game was, whether is it a placebo effect because they're playing the weaker teams later on into the regular split, or is it because Epsilon are actually getting better? Maybe it was the latter, because they have been holding their own against Misfits. To be fair, the last time they played Misfits, it was a very long game. It was the longest we've seen a split at 57 minutes, almost 1 hour long. It was 10 seconds away from an hour-long game, so we could have another one here. But with this many kills, I feel like this game will end a little sooner.
One specific area that has been an improvement, at least in this game so far for Epsilon, Kyra and Cosq. The old Lowland Lions, Copenhagen Wolves Academy, whatever you want to call them, duo setup that, you know, surprised us all the way back in 2015 spring. Finally, we're seeing them on the same page again. And they actually look about as good as they were performing back then.
Man, like, that's a long time ago.
Fed, they're getting the crowd control down for him, and he's able to continue working towards, you know, the common goal of getting themselves through this best of 5.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, we were talking about Cosq in previous weeks and just kind of felt he wasn't showing up.
I feel like, well, I want to talk about that point because it's very interesting. Javelin will hit Noxiac, Arrow doesn't hit anyone. Kirei's taking a lot of damage from this culling. Lucky the Spylings were there to tank a lot of it. Wisdom is being chased down by Warlight, but Warlight doesn't want to go too deep right now. He does have his flash, but doesn't really want to burn it right now. Great ultimate in from Alphari. Will cut off his escape route, and flash Flay from Ignor picks up that kill. Kirei is going to jump into the air, but he has to come back down at some point. There's the ultimate in from Selfie, locking Cosco in place, and Petrifying Gaze will buy a couple seconds. And despite such a good play from Epsilon picking up that Baron, it's all just been turned around, them getting caught out in the mid lane. Wisdom really wants to pick up this kill, but has to dive the tower. Man, he's even going to go for it. He's going to trade his life for it. He knew that was a one-way trip, but he wanted that kill. 4-4-1. The rest of his team will take down the middle turret. And Sartorius was bot lane.
Yeah, Sartorius wasn't bot for the beginning of the play, but it looked like he recalled and ended up bot lane. I believe they just wanted to take away all of the Baron buffs, because Misfits look like they want to continue to push this.
I mean, Sartorius is the only one alive. Warlight's respawning in 5 seconds. Handsauer is hitting the tower. Sartorius needs to do something. He's going to try and make the hero play. He is very, very tanky. Handsauer, he's so low. He will finally drop. Sartorius is still alive and does pull off the 1v4 defense against Misfits.
Yeah, 1v4, but Misfits were being so overconfident by pushing in there. Handsauer balancing between attacking the turret, trying to attack the Trundle, and staying alive. It was a little bit too much of a reach, but the fact of the matter is Misfits have cracked all but one Nexus tower now when you look at that mid lane base setup. So this is Warlight getting caught. He had nowhere really to go. Good flash over the wall to get himself out, but Ignor, Flay on one, Hook on the other side. And, you know, awareness throughout the entire fight. Cosq was able to get a little damage down, but it wasn't enough since he'd already been caught. And Wisdom wanted to get rid of the Baron buff here. Don't want the rest of his team pushing in while Baroned up minions are kind of pushing away. I think they felt maybe they could continue the push further. So ended up taking him down, and Misfits right now have steadied themselves into a lead, considering how this game started with a mid lane kill on Selfie that really shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Top lane weird trade 2-for-1 in favor of Epsilon.
But 7,000 gold lead now, and we haven't even been tracking the dragons because it always feels like dragons are a secondary thing and so many kills are happening. 34 kills at 34 minutes. There you go. 2 dragon live to Misfits, 1 to Epsilon. And no ocean dragon shall be had today. But Epsilon were holding their own up until the mid game. And it was just a couple crucial mistakes that Misfits capitalized on. But Epsilon have definitely been playing better.
Yeah.
That surprise Baron was really good out from Epsilon. That bought them a lot of time.
The surprise Baron, and honestly just how active they were in the beginning of the game. I was fairly impressed by the fact that they were just like, okay, well, let's go mid, let's try and put the punishment down from having a Malzahar, and then, you know, we'll go top and try and punish the Gangplank, who's scaling as well. But just unfortunately, it all fell apart by the fact that Handsauer managed to at least you know, with Ignor in that bottom lane, get such a lead that he had damage in the early fights, and it allowed Selfie, Wisdom, Alphari to kind of coordinate with them to get the kills in those fights and tilt the game back around.
Oh, nice dodge.
Did he Ardent Blaze into that bush first, or...?
I don't know, we can double check.
Yeah, because I'm just wondering whether he had... I'm looking at it again on mine. Okay, he had vision of it.
I was like,
I was going to say that was
sickest reactions of all
reaction.
time. Yeah. Close. We could have just said that he did, and then we were like, man, Handsauer's a god. It was still a cool. It was cool dash. Dosh. I want to say dodge and dash at the same time. Cool dosh.
Dodge, dip, dive, and dodge.
Dosh is like a UK term, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It means cash, money, dollar.
I don't think any other country does that, but either way. Relevant because Misfits came in through.
Oh, that's true.
Through the UK
and Ireland representative. Still have one.
They have
remaining.
Alphari.
Alphari counts.
Yeah.
Claiming it.
Repping it. Yeah, we've kind of hit a lull in the action as both teams are pretty much just waiting for Baron, which has just spawned. And Kirei taking away this pink ward. Whoop. Cassiopeia does very well with zoning people off using Miasma. Wisdom potentially caught, but jumping on top of him, maybe not so smart with the rest of Misfits waiting in the wings. Sartorius probably doesn't want to be the main form of engage, considering they have Ash Arrow and Cassiopeia and Kirei. Repping it. Cassiopeia does very well with zoning people off using Miasma. Wisdom potentially caught, but jumping on top of him, maybe not so smart with the rest of Misfits waiting in the wings. Sartorius probably doesn't want to be the main form of engage, considering they have Ash Arrow and Kirei. Kozkyu's going to dash forwards into Wisdom. He has to flash over the wall, but he's going to follow after. And Wisdom, he's already out of there. Meanwhile, the rest of his team is being taken out by Misfits. Sartorius has to back away. Ignite looking for the hook. Connects it onto Kozkyu, who cleanses out of it instantly. This fight may be turning, but the double kill for Selfie. Sartorius, meanwhile, being chased down and will be finished off. Triple kill for Selfie. Now Kozkyu, big barrel out from Alfari. There's the quadra kill. He's going to chase down Noxian, looking for the pentakill. Oh! Stolen by Alfari! And he's going to do a dance. What a dick.
The stolen penta at that point.
He was gunning for it as well.
Selfie nearly gets himself a pentakill on Malzahar, blind picked.
That would have gone down in history. Could have been on the Penta and PTL, but stolen away by Alfari. Unreal.
Alfari saved it.
I mean, that's a scenario where your team can set you up for that as well. But either way, Misfits with a near Penta will finish off game 1 against Epsilon.
Oh, and the game ends perhaps in the anticipated way that we kind of felt the game would go, but we've got to commend Epsilon. For the start of that game was a lot better. Yes, some of it was punishing what Misfits were playing when it comes to mistakes early on, but Epsilon actually looked pretty decent in the first 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah, actually surprisingly so. And we were talking in the office, like, what are we expecting? And I was saying personally, like, if anything, we're going to see like a 3-1, but maybe they can push Misfits a little bit further, because that performance was very good. It was kind of just like based around that mistake they made after the Baron, but up until that point, at least early game, they were holding their own. Apart from bot lane, had bot lane just gone even, like we were saying in Champion Select, that maybe could have been a different game. But they still picked up Baron. They still managed to keep the game pretty even until that big team fight where they just lost everything they owned. But apart from that, it was very good. So yeah, I just want to see more of the same from Epsilon, really.
Yeah, I want to see more of the same from the beginning, get Kozkyu a little bit ahead. I like that Kozkyu seemingly knew the Cassiopeia matchup as well, where it's just like, hey, I'll just cancel Malzahar's everything and kill him. I just feel like we, again, saw the strength of Misfits in individual and kind of like in these small numbers where they're outplaying the, Hansama just completely in the head of Woolite and the rest of the bot lane for Epsilon, just always going forward, trading, damage coming down, and it's like, how do you out-trade against that? Well, it's like, I've got heal, but it's not quite enough.
Yeah, I think we also have to praise Ignar as well, because like a lot of that lane was won from Ignar's hooks. He had like 2 excellent hooks that just set up Hansama basically for the rest of the game. I mean, like, when you're given 4 kills in laning phases, it's just like, yes, this guy is so amazing, unless he has the ability to do so, but it's the support who got him there. But yeah, nothing to take away. I think just in general, the bot lane was really, really strong from Misfits, and that's what we've come to expect. So yeah, it's cool also seeing Hansama do well in an offline environment. He did just as well when he was on Millennium, actually, in Spring, so it's cool that he hasn't lost his touch, at least.
I'm interested to see whether Selfie ending the game with a quadra kill and getting up to 11 kills is going to be like, Malzahar's a great pick. It's fine.
The reverse of Spirit.
Yeah, it's just like, don't worry. We ended the game fine. I made a mistake in the early game. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's like the reverse placebo effect, right?
Yes.
Is where we're talking about Epsilon and they're winning and they're like, we're getting better. Selfie's like, we won.
Malzahar's
it's fine.
a perfect
Malzahar's
pick.
Great. I don't think it's a bad pick.
No, I was just surprised to see it before as like a blind pick on blue side. That's all I was really surprised about. And then also dying early game to an Elise after seeing him on a ward. But apart from that, we're going to take a quick break as game 1 is now finished. So we'll be back with game 2 right after this. Welcome back to our continuing coverage of the first EUCS semi-final between Epsilon and Misfits. Of course, game one went to Misfits there in a fairly close game, actually more close than I was expecting between Epsilon and Misfits coming in as the 4th seed.
Which is weird because we were like, well, there was a quadra, nearly a penta, and it was a 30-minute game, basically. Yeah. So it's like, hey, it was closer than we thought. But for real, Epsilon in the beginning of the game actually looked a lot better than, we thought, because a lot of teams just fall at that first hurdle to Misfits and never end up ahead.
Pretty much. I mean, it was kind of like the top lane triangle, really, that did really well. I mean, ignoring the bottom lane, like mid lane had some really good roams. I mean, like jungle got in the opposing jungle and had some really good invades. Top lane was kind of doing okay. I mean, like it was going even, but then it started going quite badly. I mean, we have some of the stats here. Sartorius. I mean, yeah, like as the game went on, there was not a lot he could do. He did have like a fairly decent play at the end where it was just like, well, there was 4 people there, all low health, so he just walked into them and managed to stop them. It wasn't quite the Yankos play that we saw in EULCS, but it was close.
There was just a couple of weird ones from Sartorius where he like took on the 1v2 bot lane and just died under his tower, and you're like, you could have just walked away from this.
Yeah.
Whereas his lane opponent predominantly was just kind of crushing people in fights and like had good ultimates. Like Alfari's Gangplank was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Not going to win any awards for it. Like, let's be real. Stole a penta. So that'll count for a lot. I'm sure.
Exactly. That should have been our stat there. Stole penta from Selfie.
Everything else doesn't matter.
But no, it was really good. And just in general, like I've been impressed by Alfari during the split. Like the carry meta is definitely suiting him. Can generally just like win his lane outright. And right there, I mean, like that wasn't like a champion that you necessarily just need to get ahead in lane. You just want to farm until the point and survive, and then have those good ultimates, have the barrel chaining, and we saw pretty much all of that from Alfari.
Yeah, so all of it. I was pretty impressed with his performance. Let's see how it goes when we get into game 2, though. I'm looking forward to seeing if we get a Malzahar back, if we get a Gangplank. Like, GP's not quite on the same level of Malzahar of, like, why is there?
I mean, FLICKR played it. Yeah, so, I mean, if FLICKR played it, then it's fine. I mean, he played Irelia mid and Olaf mid, so... and AP Time French mid. Well, yeah, I was just... we'll see how he picks it as well, because... I mean, I don't know if like Coscu played it against solo queue, and it was just like, well, I know Cassiopeia is good into it because we saw that one interaction. But it just doesn't. I just don't see it as like a blind pick mid lane.
One player I kind of want to keep my eyes on when it comes to attitude from last game to this game is I want to keep an eye on Wisdom, because something crazy must be in the water here in Berlin, because Wisdom was just like, I'm going in. Yeah. Like all the time.
Yeah, he dove like the tower mid lane and top lane.
Which is not really the Wisdom that we've always known. He's normally been a little bit more pensive, make team fight decisions, farm up a lot, and then react when he needs to, not just go aggressive.
I mean, it's funny because sometimes we look at like isolated deaths for players, and typically his isolated deaths are when he's getting called out, if he goes to do something by himself or gets caught in his own jungle. This time it's because he was diving people inside their inhibitor towers. It was like way different in terms of how he was dying.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. Maybe Berlin's just affected Wisdom. I'm not really sure. But either way, it was fun to watch, and he generally killed whoever he was gunning for. So yeah, he got, there was at least that going for him. We got a second game, champion select. Silver linings. I mean, like Hachi did remove the Baron buff from the Karma in top lane, so that was actually good. But still, double support ban, triple support ban. No, Malzahar ban. Okay, so Epsilon respect the Malzahar enough to ban it.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, they struggled to deal with it the later the game went.
Yes, but I don't feel like Coscu felt anything in the mid lane. Yes, he got the early kill, which helped, but I don't know. I guess if there's nothing else you really want to ban, then Malzahar is like a fine ban, just because of how it was different coming in from Misfits.
They can maybe Nidalee here if they want it. If they want to steal it away. We know it's been a big pick from for Kirei. Again, we talked about Kirei from all the, like last year. Last year he was crushing people on Nidalee.
Nidalee is like all the time, So I like the first pick coming in from Epsilon. Misfits, do they just go for lane dominant picks again?
I think they can just pick the Lucian, perhaps, here, if they want it. Although, hang on, what was banned that isn't? So
Sivir.
Vlad is available, Sivir is available, Gragas is available. So there are 3 top, like, big picks
that were banned out from
last game.
Epsilon.
We may see the Vlad come out in that.
From Selfie, yeah.
Just because of how
later.
strong it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, Selfie usually picks it later into the draft, typically. You generally do that, unlike Red Side. And if Epsilon, they could prioritize it for Cosq. But Selfie's Vlad has been really, really good so far. Looking at... okay, so Sivir has been locked in, still waiting on the next pickup. But yeah, that was banned out last game against Hansama. And Rek'Sai as well for Wisdom. So yeah, next in line, now that Nidalee has been taken away. Didn't go for the Lees though, so yeah, just going for the Rek'Sai for front line.
I like it. It gives them a basis where they can work on multiple lanes now as well. Rek'Sai, that's one of the good things that Wisdom has been able to do, is play over on that side lane if they've required it. And we saw with the Gangplank in the last game, and some of the attempt of the Malzahar of being in the side lane just to set it up so that it pushes. Maybe we'll see something similar come from them, but with the Sivir, you also now have the ability to disengage fairly easily with the on the hunt, back yourself away. So we'll watch for the rest of the draft.
That's true. That was actually very useful for Epsilon, the Karma, which has been banned away this game. And looking towards their next 2 pickups.
Okay.
So locking in the Caitlyn for Warlight. Epsilon have had some success on this pick so far in the regular season, and Nami as well for Noxiac. So this seems more of a try and survive laning phase lane than we had last game.
That's what I was going to say, is this is a, we're just going to play defensive and hold on. The opposite of that is picking Alistair into Caitlyn Nami, which screams we're going to lane swap or we're going to lose a laning phase. Yeah. Because Caitlyn good into Sivir, Nami good into Alistair. Generally.
Yeah. I mean, like, Alistair just at the moment generally says lane swap because it's Alistair.
That's true.
We very rarely see Alistair nowadays if your name isn't Heaver.
We also saw it from Yellowstar in one game, and everybody hated it.
Yeah.
It was like, why are you playing Alistair right now?
Yeah, pretty much.
Not a good pick.
Yeah, he just got hit so many times with nerfs. His Triumphant Roar was nerfed, his ultimate was nerfed. Everything really. So yeah, seen very much less of that pick, but it's still very good in what he does. Like, you can still die, but you just can't necessarily survive when you go in, because it's 50% at rank 1 now. You could generally stay at like rank 1 ultimate and just be able to dive towers all day, but can't really do that anymore. Alfari with the Gangplank again. I liked it last game. There's the Gragas that was banned last time.
So that
where
makes
does
it
that
top
go?
lane.
Yeah, Nidalee's been picked up, so that'll be top lane Sartorius and the Cassiopeia for Cosq. Yeah, I saw nothing wrong with Cosq's Cassiopeia. If anything, it was really, really good from last game.
Yeah, it was good. He struggled in team fights when people had already kind of got themselves ahead, like when Hansama had 4 kills already, and then Selfie was starting to pick up kills. Speaking of Selfie, he's locked in the Kassadin very quickly. So we are playing on multiple side lanes here. Like, we're not running a 1-4-1. It's 1-4-1. Yeah, 6 players. We're playing Hexakill now, Pulse. We're not running a 1-4. This is, you can have Rek'Sai side lane, GP side lane, Kassadin side lane, all good. So we'll see whether Epsilon can hold on to all that. Yeah, because Cassiopeia, you can't really run TP on. So you can't really play her over in a pushing way on a side lane. You wouldn't want to anyway. Purely defensive in that capacity, and then you have to hope they don't start a team fight.
Yeah, Sartorius as well on the Gragas. I mean, he doesn't push very fast, but we'll be able to stymie a push in one of the side lanes. But yeah, it's we'll be trying to play around the Caitlyn mid lane, or mid game rather, maybe in the mid lane. Do often put that pick in the mid lane, around the mid game. But
you okay over there?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Mid lane, mid game, push it in the lane.
Push it in the lane. Yeah, okay. I just wonder how this one's gonna go, because they could be mid game in the mid lane. We'll see. Use hashtag mid lane. No, use hashtag EPS win or hashtag MSF win for who you think is gonna pick up this game. 89% was in the last game. You guys said Misfits. 89% of you were correct. But will it change this game?
Well, we're going to have to find out. Well, we've got Thunder Cow in effect. Thunderlord, Alistair. Oh, yeah.
I like it.
It's fairly common these days when you see Alistair picked up, just because you trade so effectively well with it in the early game. You just walk up to somebody and basically trample them to death with the passive that normally does nothing, but when you add a Thunderlord proc onto it, suddenly Alistair has a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's actually decent in the early mid game. It's very similar theory to Thresh.
Yep.
Ignar, he's going to literally just walk up to Noxiac. He actually just walked up slowly and knocked up Noxiac, and we'll probably be looking for the kill here as well with the Ignite First Blood to Handsammer.
No, don't stop.
What? Kotsky, don't walk back into Ignar. He's looking for another Pulverize. Meanwhile, Handsammer driving low to Warline. He's going to flash after him, but he's outside of range. Handsammer's already backing up, but Kirei's here. He'll flash into his own jungle. Warline's trying to pick up the kill, but it's not like he has E. Now he's trapped in the enemy jungle. Oh no, Misfits are just going to kill him. Selfie's low as well. Whoa, attack from Warline. It's not going to be enough. Kirei is trying to save his allies. What was this level 1?
The start to this game sums up Clown Fiesta at the beginning of this. Like, okay, we need to rewatch how Noxiac did not just walk away from Ignar in the beginning of that. Like, was his vision cut somehow? Is what I'm kind of watching. Hopefully observers can like vision. They were in the bush. My apologies, I missed the initial part of them being in the bush. So that's how Noxiac got caught. And from there, it's fairly straightforward for this first kill. Woolite should just back away. You should not go towards this bush 2 versus 3 in the early game. Little unfortunate he was out of range there. Handsammer with a good reaction flash over the wall.
I can't believe he still has flash.
Only got 1 auto. No, me neither. Like, holding his flash for that long. And then from here, it's Woolite was always going to die.
I mean, where are you going to go?
Oh, Woolite just didn't have the vision.
Yeah.
Oh, that's painful.
May have survived long enough to get the auto attack down had Ignar not been running Thunderlords, because the Thunderlords proc came in and was just barely enough to finish him off. So
very possible.
Yeah.
I missed that they were in the bush at the beginning, so I was checking on my screen some of the keystones as well.
Yeah, but you don't expect 2 kills to come from that.
That is true. But I mean, neither did Noxiac really, by the looks of it. One of them went onto Handsammer and did go back to buy a longsword. And Woolite doesn't have any potions here. He has a Nami though for some sustain, but it means that in any kind of short burst trades, you know, the Q comes out from Handsammer and they effectively trade back. So 2 assists over to Selfie. He's picked up the Dark Seal to start the game. He starts it with 2 stacks.
Oh god. This is already going quite well. He knew how that first trade was going to go at the level 1.
I wish that were the case. He was so confident that that was going to happen.
Starting off the game with an 800, 900 gold advantage is pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, Dark Seal, a lot of people will look at that and be like, man, he was so confident to begin this. And as we spoke about on LCS a fair amount this past week, you know, cast it in safe 1 to 6.
Yeah.
So you can kind of just get Dark Seal. It assists you when it comes to your sustain. You're not likely to die. Once you get 6, you're so safe, it's not even funny. So it's not exactly a show-off build to start. It's just standard.
It almost never is. I mean, like, every single champion that we see nowadays pick up Dark Seal is because they are... We were praising his barrel uses last game as well, but every champion we see picks it up because they are safe, like a Maokai, like Echo. Yep. Satori's going to jump onto Alphari, but doesn't have kill potential just yet. So yeah, pretty much. It's not because you're just BMing your opponent anymore.
No. Kairi.
Oh, I mean, he's caught out here. Wisdom's going to find him, and yes, you are Nidalee, but Rek'Sai does have a lot of damage in the early game, especially with Red Buff. Going to tunnel after him. We'll have the Prey Seeker up. Kiro's going to pounce. There's Prey Seeker. Now, if he had 2 more Prey Seekers...
Yeah, he couldn't close the distance quite fast enough. Alphari was TPing back from the base, so didn't quite have the ability to cut down. Back up to this top duo lane. Still no potions for Caitlyn, but they've been able to sustain up pretty well with Nami. You can see the damage coming out from CosQ already.
Yep. Even though Caston's fairly safe.
Woolite?
Whoa, Woolite. He's just
caught.
kind of caught out. Here comes the Ignite as well. Bubble onto Hansama. Gonna try and jump to safety. Ignar's gonna punch him to death though. Kill to Ignar. Meanwhile, Noxiac trading against Hansama, but it's Nami versus Sivir. Eventually, Sivir's gonna win.
Oh.
Combo from Ignar. Oh, big cow. 2-0-2 in this game.
Oh man, that is painful. Again, the 2v2 goes the way of Misfits, and when a Caitlyn is forced to rush level 2 boots before any damage item,
Rip.
this Caitlyn is not getting into the game for a very, very long time. So what happened?
He separated.
Why is Woolite that far forward? Like, I know he's trying to chase back Ignar and Hansama, but at this point you've already kind of... You're going even in the lane, right? You've already given away 1 kill early, which is fine in the sense that, like, the laning phase then being even is actually okay.
Yeah.
But then you try and harass down for, like, 1 more auto onto the Sivir. I understand why you're trying to go for that, but it's too greedy. It's trying to regroup too quickly in this game.
There's so many things to say, but Ignar has picked up mobility boots, so already he's trying to roam and try and get a gank down the mid. Luckily it was warded. Oh, hello. But yeah, Misfits, like, we were expecting a lane swap coming in as well. Try and get the Alistar Sivir outside of a lane matchup against Caitlyn Nami, but they just 2v2 killed them again. In another game.
It's the disrespect, though, from Woolite stepping up that far, because you can't rely on net as an actual escape tool. Like, it doesn't work fast enough. Hang on, barrel bottom lane.
Alfari's been knocked into Sartorius. He's going to have to burn his ultimate javelin from long range. Kirei trying to get in there for a pounce. Woolite, meanwhile, in the top lane. This is 2v2 again. Not quite enough to finish off Woolite, but will burn his flash away.
Alfari survived?
How?
How did he survive that? There was a niddly... Oh,
What? Why?
Oh, he didn't have flash available. He just used it.
Oh, no.
Oh, this is all going so
0-5.
horribly wrong.
That duo lane is 0-5 stress.
It's gone so horribly wrong in the beginning of this game for Epsilon. Just time and time again, Hansama and Ignar going aggressive, getting the damage down, and then Epsilon are trying to cut corners, trying to stay in the lane there to be able to hang on somehow in this matchup. But they are so incredibly far behind.
I mean, come on. When that happens in game 1 and you are so far down despite the rest of the map doing well, you can't do it again.
Look at this, Noxiac has nothing he can do. This is like... Nami generally is a decent setup here because of how long range these two champions should be into Alistar Sivir, but the Epsilon bot lane is pushed up. Woolite pushes himself to the wall and the tower. Oh, if there's one spot you don't want to be against, like, a skill shot-based champion. Bot lane!
Oh, body in the bot lane.
Gone.
Misfits, all of them are down here. 2 kills in rapid succession. Uh-oh. Noxiac and Woolite, they're on top of each other. Ignar's looking for the most fantastic pulverize of all time. He'll get it onto Woolite. Selfie's gonna follow up. There's the force pulse. Kozku comes in from the mid lane. Maybe they're able to get 1 kill in return.
Got it.
Noxiac picked up the kill. Oh, this could not be going worse
GP
for Epsilon.
Up.
And Kozku, I can't tell who's trapped right now. Kozku jumps after Alfaro. They'll both flash away.
Chasing him
but
into
Hansama's
3.
coming down. Ignar's there to cut him off. Ultimate onto 2. But he's being chased down. He's got nowhere to go. Oh, the fadeaway boomerang out from Hansama will pick up that one.
Dead.
Noxiac caught out of position. Pulverize headbutt combo. Noxiac also dies. Good lord. 10 and 1 stress. We both had the same thought at the same time.
Oh man, the beginning of this game, I don't think we've seen go quite this horribly in a Challenger Series game at all. Misfits just crushing the fight bot lane because Ignar is there. He's already level 6, like, he's strong enough. Didn't even have to use his ultimate in the beginning. Hits another combo. Woolite dies, Selfie had roamed down too. I mean, there's not a whole lot to break down here. Kozku realistically should not start chasing Alfari here. He feels like it's fine because Noxiac is there, but look, Ignar's in vision this entire way. Hansama cuts down as well, and Kozku's like, oh, I really shouldn't have chased this. And you're just there thinking, well, no, you really shouldn't have. And then Noxiac stays around for long enough to die as well.
Level 4 Nami. This is the point in the game where if you're Ignar, You just go full AP.
And they got a tower. Thank you, observers.
I would just go Lich Bane from here for Ignar.
We're at about 6,000 gold at 10 minutes. As an advantage.
Yep. That's a big goal disparity.
Especially on Kosku's dead.
Yes, he is.
Hansama has now extended his lead over Woolite. Okay, yeah.
I mean, the kills are happening too fast now to even call.
This is one of these games where the optimism of, hey, it's great, they can play for X, just escapes completely.
Hansama is so far ahead. 2,300 gold ahead.
That's
Well, I
basically...
only have 3,000 gold.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's more gold than Noxiac is worth.
Yeah.
Like his total life savings right now are eclipsed by Hansama's
advantage over Woolite.
Wealth.
Yep. Well, so looking towards game 3. But seriously, Misfits, 11 minutes into a game, in a scrim, both teams would have quit out by now and just said, okay, go next.
Yeah. When you've got a 4-0 Sivir, a 3-1 Kassadin that has Rod of Ages finished at this point, and you're basically still even like dominating their CS as well at the same time, like 99 on your AD carry to 79. I mean, Woolite has had some farm, but still has a million years to go before he ends up being relevant in this game.
It's weird. This is how I thought game 1 was going to go.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting game 2 after actually a pretty decent performance from Epsilon to go this way, but it's just been like so many small missteps which has surmounted in this massive gold lead. And I mean, the biggest misstep was at the start of the game where they'd lost 2 kills and everyone started with this gold lead in every single lane. And that's just cascaded out of control.
Ignar's Alistair, 2-0-8, 10 out of 12 kills.
I mean, I'm not questioning the pick anymore now, Stress.
No, I was thinking, you know, Alistair not really a meta pick. Is it going to be able to do well in this lane?
Yeah.
Yeah, turns out it's going to do just fine.
Hansama versus Sartorius. Well, that was the full combo, bar the ultimate in from Sartorius. Now Hansama need to chase him down. He still has spell shield, so he can reaction ult that one. Alfari's getting chased down in the bottom lane. Still has his ultimate.
It's coming up in like 5 seconds, I believe.
He TP'd into the bottom lane, but Epsilon did not want to stick around. Flash, E. And Ignar is already tanking the tower. Wisdom's going to come in, and Sartorius immediately regrets his decision.
It's the same play from game 1. This time it's AD carry and support that has jungler come across as well. But we saw game 1, Sartorius try and hold a tower when it was pretty much already dying, and die for it. This time he actually saves it. Well, if the 90% curse is a factor, this would be one heck of a game to rear its head in.
Yeah.
If Epsilon ended up winning, but I don't really see that happening on this one, Pulse.
Best of luck, Epsilon. You're gonna need it. Yeah.
It's sad though, because I actually was impressed by how they played the first game.
Me too.
The beginning of it, it looked good.
The snap decision on Baron.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, that is what we want to see. All eclipsed by what happened in this game. A series of missteps. It seems like they go into the game knowing what to do. It's just like, all right, bot lane didn't have such a great performance. Let's put them on Caitlyn Nami. We'll have them play from range, not get killed in lane. And then the lane goes 1-7. And it's just like, okay, now what? Do we just go the same and then we have Woolite and Noxic literally just stand at tower and just farm? Because even in this defensive lane, they lose against Sivir Alistair. Like, what do you suggest? Like, what do you do from here?
I don't know. I feel like it was a lot of it was the execution. Like, Kosku's dead.
Here comes.
Oh, actually, Kyrie and Sartorius are here. I didn't look at the minimap ahead of this.
Ignar's gonna get speared. He does have an ultimate. Kosku gets blown up by Selfie. Sartorius uses a defensive ultimate. That's a chilling smite. And Selfie will follow down as well. He does so much damage. Ignor's aggressively flashing you after Noxiac. Noxiac just wants to go home.
Wave.
Exhaust comes down. Ignor just walking through the tower.
President Noxiac. Apparently like Atlantis ruler with the bodyguards on the way back.
Oh god.
There.
Well, Kyrie's dead. Oh no, Walleye, he's got nowhere to go.
Put more traps.
Try and cut off the escape route. Hanshammer's gonna flash after him. Walleye, everyone chase down Walleye. Here's the hunting party. Oh, Selfie's gonna find him. CosQ, he's the next one in line. Flash ultimate misses. And we'll go back to his tower. And Misfits will take mid.
This whole sequence.
This is just hilarious. I haven't watched a game like this in so long.
No, honestly, like this is very rarely ever at this level do you have a game like this. And it's purely from how the game starts and then opened up. I mean,
this should be good.
I can see why
for
Epsilon want this. I can see why. Unfortunately, CosQ gets annihilated. Like, wasn't even close. The damage that Selfie has is obscene. And everybody flashes everything. Oh, ride the wave. Point break in the bot lane here for Wisdom and Ignar. President Noxiac.
I mean, Ignar just doesn't care. Like, he's so strong. And like,
I think Ignar was actually wanting Trample to kill him then.
Yeah.
Like,
just run him over. And Selfie does, like, when you have a 7-1-4 like Cassidy on the enemy team at 16 minutes, that's generally when you just say, all right, FF boys. Like,
I mean, when you have a Cassidy 7-1-4 at 35 minutes, you're like, great, we've won this game.
Yeah, that's true.
This is brilliant.
He's not even the only threat on the team. Like, Alfari's 204, like, Hanshammer's 505, Sartorius just popped the ultimate on top of himself. I've got it a couple seconds behind on my screen, so I get to witness that again.
I was going to say, I believe he whiffed it. I think Alfari just turned around.
Yeah, he just turned for a minion. He carried on farming and it's like, oh, okay. Bot lane.
Selfie can probably 1v3 if he dodges the ult from CosQ. But if Wisdom's here, they can absolutely do this.
Yeah. Alright, well. Epsilon probably should just give up this tower. It's 17 minutes in. We've had 19 kills, and 18 of them have gone to Misfits. They have a 12,000 gold lead. Like, I think analysis just breaks down at this point.
So what's your highest CP Pokemon right now?
Oh, around 600 right now.
600?
Yeah.
I had to restart.
Yeah, you had to, yeah. Otherwise you were way in front of me. Kirei.
Ooh. This is, like, this is painful. Like, this game, if the...
It's like sport. It's just like the hunting foxes.
It's difficult to bring meaningful discussion to how this game is playing out.
The worst thing is Epsilon can't even surrender.
No, they're another 2 minutes. And normally we do try and be a little more optimistic. Yeah, we doubled our kills for Epsilon.
Second kill of the game. But it doesn't even seem like Misfits are actively trying to finish the game. Like, they're just trying to find as many kills as they can right now. CosQ. Selfie dying behind the tower. Wisdom is shrugging off all of this damage in from Epsilon.
Oh, nearly 3-shot.
Boomerang, not quite in range this time. Well, escapes with his life. Selfie just diving the tower. And honestly, there's not a lot we can say about this game, Stress. We have to just look really towards the next game.
Yeah, absolutely.
In which, I mean, what time is it? It's 6:25. We started this broadcast an hour and 25 minutes ago, and we were very rapidly approaching the end of this series. This could end up being a very short evening.
Yes, and I mean, for Misfits, like, I didn't think that they'd win this convincingly in a second game. Like,
yeah,
I really, like, I knew that they were a strong team coming into this, and we said that, you know, we didn't think there would be any lane that was really a contender for Epsilon, but like, this is a whole nother level. And honestly, I don't even really attribute this to like, oh, Misfits an LCS level team. This is just how badly a game can go if at the beginning you give up 2 kills, and then in lane you give up 2 kills, and then the one play you make to try and get back into the game backfires as well.
Yeah.
Like, that's how the game goes when it's like this. If you lose 3 early game fights pre-6 minutes, back to back to back, you're going to lose a game like this against a competent team. Like,
I feel like everyone who's played League of Legends has had a game like this.
Yeah.
Where it's just like everything just goes wrong and all you can do is laugh because like everything just went wrong. And Epsilon really just need to start thinking about how they're going to try and Cloud9 Misfits.
So, 20 minutes is our normal leads that we take a look at, and the lead is currently 14.3k. May actually be one of the most significant leads we've seen.
On the bright
I believe
side,
there's an SKT game where they like 20k leaded somebody. Got him.
Yeah, he's one-shotting people now. Honestly, Epsilon's draft is like... Epsilon can win with this draft.
Yeah.
I would... Like, they could just pick the same thing in Game 3 and just try and execute better, and that would be fine. But yeah, like, just start of the game,
I think they actually are just going
wrong.
to push 2 Nexus Towers here and win.
With Handsammer and Ignar. Yeah, I mean, they just killed everyone on the map. Noxiac will flash away. Wisdom's onto the tower. And this is game.
Yeah.
21 minutes. If anything, Misfits should be disappointed that they didn't get the fastest game in the world. At least they got Wisdom.
Yeah.
That's the Nexus time. Misfits absolutely obliterate Epsilon.
That was ridiculous. That is the most convincing Challenger Series game I've ever casted. Like,
straight up.
No
Handsammer down. Like, that was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yep. I actually don't think we've ever seen like a game like that. Even if you compare it to like the other strong teams that we've seen, like Millennium, Origin never did that. Yeah, exactly. That was actually a new summer record as well. 21 minutes and 11 seconds. The next shortest before was also from Misfits, so they broke their own record, and that was against Nerve, and that was 25 minutes. But 21-minute victory, and honestly, if they actually tried to close out the game instead of just killing everyone all over the map, they probably could have gotten like a 17-minute victory or something absurd like that and try and beat like the Immortals was an 18-minute win in NALCS.
I remember back in Season 3, there was like a 14-minute win, if I remember rightly. Yeah. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I know the old days of NALCS, there was like a game that was so short.
It just snowballed out of control.
It was just done. Everyone was like, no, let's just get out of this game. I like to actually break down the game is to look at the first 3 or 4 minutes, and like from there, there's not a lot that is beneficial to
like
look
draft
further
and
in.
5 minutes, and that's like it. Yeah, maybe 5 minutes is too much.
So when we talk about the beginning of the game, just the start with the warding attempt and Misfits catching them out, I wonder whether that's something that they have scouted. Because that is something teams do time and time again, is look at how they open on a blue side opening, who walks where.
Sure.
Was it luck is another question that they just Noxiac walks past.
Maybe. I think it's like 2 things, right? It's like maybe 1, the setup, but 2, also the misplay of just walking into the Alistar and then walking alongside him and hope he went pulverize or didn't go pulverize at level 1.
Yeah.
And then that was it, like pretty much. And then like after that happened, and then like another member made the exact same mistake that Noxiac did. So
yeah.
I think execution.
And then not respecting the distance in the 2v2. Like, the one thing that you have to always be careful about when playing against an Alistar is that he's not in engage range against you. Whether that's headbutt combo, whether that's pulverized flash, you've got to be outside of that range. And on Caitlyn, it should be so easy to do that.
Yeah,
but
you outrange the Civis so much, and the Alistar.
Time and time again, Ignar is just catching those engages, getting the double kills. In Game 1, getting the hooks in the laning phase. Like, there's not a lot you can do if you're eating all the crowd control in a 2v2 setup like that. And then Handsammer's is like, fine, give me the outplay. Like, doesn't matter what they've got.
I also think it was fundamentals in that lane, because you never want to be that split up from your support against an Alistar in lane, and then it was just like a free kill. Like, what is Noxiac going to do from there? There's realistically nothing he can do. So it's just, like, you look at Woolite and Noxiac and the experience they should have coming from LCS and like all the experience they've had as players, like, you should never see that happen. But it was fundamentals that really broke down in that game. But either way, that will round out Game 2. So we'll be taking a quick break as we set up for Game 3. So this could be the end of the series. So you won't want to miss it. And we won't be missing
quicker than the game, or
it will be significantly. 3.5. Ignar, he's gonna literally just walk up to Noxiac. He actually just walked up slowly and knocked up Noxiac, and we'll probably be looking for the kill here as well with the Ignite First Blood to Handsammer. As meanwhile, Handsammer driving low to Warline. He's gonna flash after him, but he's outside of range. Handsammer's already backing off, but Kirei's here. He'll flash into his own jungle. Warline trying to pick up the kill, but it's not like he has E. Now he's trapped in the enemy jungle. Oh no, Misfits are just gonna kill himself. He's low as well. Whoa, auto attack from Warlight. It's not gonna be enough. Keyray is trying to save his allies. What was this level 1? Oh no, Warlight, he's got nowhere to go.
Put more traps.
Try and cut off the escape route. Hanshammer's gonna flash after him. Warlight, everyone chase down Warlight. Here's the hunting party. Oh, Selfie's gonna find him. 21 minutes. If anything, Misfits should be disappointed that they didn't get the fastest game in the world. At least they got wisdom. Welcome back to the European Challenger Series playoffs, where we probably had the most one-sided game I've ever seen, at least in Challenger. I've seen plenty of one-sided games, but that game was basically done by 5 minutes. Like, pretty much. First game, it was like a complete turnaround. Like, Epsilon just looked destroyed in Game 2. So I just want to see them go back to what they did in Game 1, because Game 2 was like, yeah, it was just over.
Yeah, I kind of want to break a fourth wall perhaps a little bit here and go with some of our discussion about how we were coming into this series, because like I'll make no mistake about it. We thought that this is going to be a Misfits favored series.
Sure.
Like just in general, it was like, okay, it's likely to be a heavy win for them. But at no point will we like, well, they're just going to win in 20 minutes and that's it.
Yeah.
We always were like, well, Epsilon, they have a couple of factors that maybe can play into
Like
their
player experience, for example.
like, player experience. They've had like playoff games before. The problem is like game 1, it looked like they used all of that in like the first 10 minutes, and their steady nerve has just gone completely out of the window. So, I mean, I don't want to say we're going to have another game that's like 20 minutes long, but when we look at it, Misfits are just playing out of their mind in comparison. After that 10-minute mark in game 1, they've just turned it straight on.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, when Selfie just picks Cassidy and just like goes off, and like bot lane as well. Like I've been really impressed by Ignar. I mean, we were praising him during like the regular split, but I don't think he's ever turned up as much as like today. Even picking up Alistair as well. We had a tweet come in from Hansamo. He said, "I feel bronze 5 when I play next to Ignar. Lol. Senpai is teaching me so much as a player in and out of game." I also want to know what's happening outside of game, but at least in game, like he is carrying him like so hard. He doesn't need to do anything. He just stands there, right clicks, and then that's like 4 kills easy.
Yeah.
Both games as well.
It was great. First game as Thresh, then second game, I don't think we've seen quite. We haven't seen many Alistair performances especially not in the current meta. Go this well. And again, like the stats are inflated because of the lead that they got, but you can't overlook that, right? Is they just got a lead and then they won the game.
Pretty much.
Time.
And I think both games were very much set up by Ignar. I feel like if Ignar didn't do that, then they would have picked up advantages anyway. But it was still, you can't look past the fact that Ignar is doing so well in the bottom lane. Just really impressed by the bot lane synergy. One of the questions we had coming into the split for Hansam was like, will he actually adapt into this team with Misfits? Because one of the biggest strengths for Millennium was that they were really good at team play and just working as a unit. Misfits are very fragmented, but still very strong. And I think Hansam is perfectly fit into this lineup, and like even better so, or even more so with Ignar. So yeah, just a progression of at least that duo lane, if not the entire team, is really impressive to see. Yeah,
really impressive. You know, we wanted to compare. Perhaps at some point we were like, hey, it'll be a good talking point in game to go, are they better than Origin were? Are they better than Millennium were? I don't think they're quite perhaps as well-rounded as those teams were at the time, but I think when you look comparative to everybody else right now that is in Challenger and potentially the bottom of LCS, you can say, well, they should realistically sweep everybody right now.
It's difficult to call the comparison right now. I think that's something we should definitely go back to when we hit like the finals at least. But I mean, if you take this game by itself, like sure, they look absolutely on par. But let's get into this third game here. Could be our final one unless Epsilon pull out something absolutely crazy. Rise and Azir banned at CosQ. And again, the support bans from Epsilon, they would have just all 3 bans towards Ignar. Okay, take away the Sivir this time. I mean, that was picked up last game. Don't think it was the reason why Epsilon lost on the seat. Karma aimed at Noxiac. And again, first pick Nidalee for both teams has been the first pick in every single game so far.
And it's dominated the jungle matchup in both games. The only time that Kyrie really took it to Wisdom was catching him 1v1 with the Cocoon initially, and that ended up in that weird trade top lane where it was like 2-for-1 in favor of Epsilon right the way back as the second set of kills for game 1. So if we see the same matchup, there's the possibility that we can go the similar route. Woolite's going from one long-range AD carry to an even safer long-range AD carry perhaps here with the Ezreal. There's no way you're getting Alistair comboed as an Ezreal, surely, if an Alistair even comes out. GP's still up if Alfari wants it. He's played at both games. Hansama has the option to has the option to Lucian again. Now that Sivir is not banned. Sorry, Sivir is banned and Lucian is available.
Yeah, exactly. And there's the Lucian picked up in the early rotation with Gangplank again. Alfari's played it every single game. Been impressed by it. I mean, he's just had to go even in laning phase, and the rest of his lanes have just bodied their lane opponents, so he just comes into mid-game fine.
They've also picked its second rotation every game, so it's not like they're afraid of anything being picked into it. So Epsilon haven't found an answer in 2 games, so for Misfits they're thinking, well, how are they going to find it in a third?
Exactly.
Right? If you haven't done it twice, then
it was Trundle and Gragas, and neither did enough work against it. So there's the Ezreal. Do they play like a really defensive support as well? Like pick up like a Soraka or like a Janna or like a Nami? Yeah. Yeah. Just ultimate peel. It's like, all right, just don't die bot lane. That is your goal for this lane. So Elise has been picked up for Kirei again, another comfort pickup, and Rumble lock in. All right for Sartorius against Alphari. Please, actually, are they actually going to lock that? They locked in Janna and Ezreal for the bottom lane.
Great.
Well, at least they're thinking the same thing we are. Like, just try and keep the bot lane alive.
Go further away from them. So, for the Rumble, now they've got a matchup that can at least output a little bit of presence early. It's not amazing until you get to team fights. So matching global ult with like long range ult after a TP, almost, maybe.
Close enough.
Close enough. Haven't seen that matchup too much, especially not here in Europe. We've only been really seeing Gangplank in like LCK and a game here or there in the European LCS, so it's not one we've settled back into too much yet, but certainly is on the rise when you look at GP's pick rates.
I thought we were going to see Aurelion Sol again. Bard pickup and Vladimir, cool. So yeah, Selfie's had a lot of good Vladimir games already, so no real surprise there. And that was late into the rotation, and Bard as well for Ignas. So he's actually had a different support every game now. All playmaking supports actually. Thresh, Alistar, a Bard.
And you know, when Dreams swapped in for Misfits earlier on in the split, we actually said that Dreams looked better on Bard than Ignar did, which was super funny because everyone was like, Ignar's such a good support. And like, we see that, but I think Dreams
from what we've seen, So Ignar's trying to show him up in this game here.
Now we get to see the Bard come out from Ignar, which we actually have heard a lot about, I'll be honest. And Cassiopeia again, okay.
I see no reason not to. I mean, Kozku's been fine mechanically every single game. In fact, game one, he was superb with his roams.
We also initially, when Vlad was getting played a lot, started hearing about the Cassiopeia matchup into Vlad and how it should be doing okay, but that actually started petering off a fair amount here in Europe specifically. People tried playing the matchup and decided they didn't like the matchup quite as much as everybody was making it out to be a decent one for Cassio. So still, Selfie's going to have the same kind of potency as ever. So if he gets the same lead that he's had, he could easily go off on this Vlad. But Kozku in game one on Cassiopeia had a good game for himself.
Very, very true. So what are Epsilon looking for this game? It's, okay, bot lane, you survive. Kozku and Sartorius, you try and get to mid-game team fights. And Elise, try and do what you can early game. Maybe try and get Kozku a couple kills, try and scale into that mid-game. Misfits, I guess same as last game, like lane dominance. I mean, when you're running Lucian Bard, I mean, what else are you going to do in that bottom lane other than just try and kill your lane opponents?
I don't know. We'll find out the answer to that question hopefully soon, Pulse.
We will indeed. Well, use the hashtags one last time. MSF win and EPS win. We'll see if we can get like 99%. We were up to like, what, 96% I think last game to Misfits, so we shall see.
I was going to say, I don't know whether we'll get to 100. That would be a total collapse of Epsilon fan
or maybe the 4%. If you are the 4%, then I wonder, has that ever happened? Like, has like a 4% victory happened in terms of fan vote versus reality?
You mean that they've got 4% and
yeah, and then won?
Yeah, that's happened. That kind of thing's happened a bunch of times. A lot of the time it's when it's like in the LCS when it's like either TSM or Fnatic versus X10th place team.
I mean, I know we've seen like, you know, 92%, 93%, but have we seen that much?
I'm pretty
sure. We probably
sure.
have, yeah.
Somebody somewhere might be keeping track of this. Probably not.
Has like an Excel spreadsheet ready for this one occasion.
I was born to give you
for this
answer.
one moment.
Oh, dear.
Ancient coin from Noxiac. Kirei has found wisdom. This is the matchup that we saw game one, actually. Oh, I cleared out the wards as well. GG, game over. Well, Kirei was like all over Wisdom. He actually did a really, really nice job. It's actually where Wisdom just walked past now in the early lane phase in game one where Kirei picked up that kill. So we'll see if Kirei can replicate that game one success. Selfie, he's on as Vladimir. Only really seeing good things from Selfie in this bit.
Yeah.
And additionally, Selfie has been a very different player. One of the questions, at least I had in the back of my mind, was, is he going to be a different player on LAN? just from what we've seen from him in like LCS and previous times we've seen him on bigger stages. So far, nothing. Sartorius has to burn his flash at 2 minutes as Ignar comes down and ganks his own lane.
Yeah, I mean, Sartorius shouldn't really even be that far pushed up. Like, in this 2v1, he must have had vision on Hansam. I'm going to go back and check, 'cause he was standing in lane against him, so this is not exactly the best. So, hang on, I'm going to rewatch it through on my... If you keep track of what's happening exactly.
I am indeed. Noxiac was trying to steal away that wolf, didn't quite get it. Put a decent amount of damage onto Wisdom on Alfari, but that's all Janna will really do.
So Sartorius actually didn't have vision on them, so didn't read that it was a 1 versus 2. Again, checking a Keystone Masteries. I'm realizing with these two teams I have to be more focused on the main screen at the beginning of the game.
I mean, you can look at stuff over there. I'll make sure to keep track of the kills that will happen, but has this been the longest time since we've seen a kill go down? Maybe game 1 was a little bit longer until we saw a kill.
We breached 3 minutes.
And no kills. Unreal. But it is a lane swap, so it's to be expected. But I'm sure these two teams will find a way to make a kill happen shortly. I just wonder whether a lane swap is better for Epsilon so they don't start bleeding out as soon as the game starts.
I am going to go with yes. I'm going to go with yes, they don't immediately like lose the early game like game 2 happened. Game 1 they had a good early game, so we'll see whether they can go from the same kind of point and take it forward. The other thing that is going to help prolong this game is the fact that it's a Cloud Drake, so nobody wants it. If it had been an Infernal, perhaps we may have had a little bit more fighting, a little bit more action going on, but...
Yeah. I mean, the irony is we haven't actually had early game fights over dragons.
That's true.
They've just been fighting each other in the lanes, in the jungle, over Wraith camps. Like, it's just, yeah, it's just been anarchy.
That's fair. Ooh, Kyrie. Ooh, I like this play. Come on.
And Hansam is so far in front of his... Why would you aim the cocoon there?
You also didn't need to fire the cocoon yet. Like, you can...
Just walk up to him.
You can wait for him to flash. Because you can bait, this is something that Maxwell was talking about, is you can bait the animation out by using W, because it's the same casting animation, or very, very similar as Cocoon.
Yep.
So you bait the animation, bait the flash, and then you Cocoon after them to stay on top of them. So that's just poor execution.
I mean, that should have been a free kill. That was a level 2 Handsammer, Keyray in the bush. He could have just walked in behind him, yeah.
That's frustrating.
That's sad, because that could have been a really nice setup for the top lane there. But either way, Hansam will get away with that one, scot-free. And nothing else is happening in terms of items just yet. Selfie's not doing another Dark Seal build.
Yeah, I mean...
He's Vladimir this time, so he doesn't benefit as much as Kasten does, unfortunately.
Wisdom?
Kiray's going to find Wisdom. I mean, Wisdom's very low, and there's first blood. Didn't need to flash, but there we go. I mean, Wisdom just doing what he was doing game 1, way too aggressive. Similar
to game 1, over-aggressive in this matchup, does not read the fact that if he gets cocooned there, he's going to die.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, he was dead if anyone turned up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Selfie hadn't been able to push quite as effectively as he'd want to be able to regroup, but now you can see he's putting the damage down onto Cosq and effectively trading, but in the minions plus Cosq's poison eventually evens that up. Now Selfie's got to be careful of mid lane.
Oh, Neurotoxin follows up with the Repel, and we'll give up. Top lane's going to go down to Misfits, and bot lane will go down to Epsilon as well, so everything is just happening as per normal with these side lanes. Top lane's going to die first to Misfits. So another unsuccessful gank from Keyray. Got gifted that first blood, so needs to try and convert this into something more for Epsilon. I mean, he is trying. Now he's lower mana, Wisdom is high on mana. This is my turf. Wisdom's going to turf him off.
Wisdom just died in the enemy jungle, but because he's now on the strong side for himself, or what previously was, Epsilon hadn't recalled from the bottom side. This is why Wisdom feels confident enough to just go back into the enemy jungle.
Yeah.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, and now he's going to ward up, although he doesn't actually have any wards.
He's not even deterred at all.
He just wants Krugs. That's all he wants right now. Sit by Alfari as well, just for a little bit of hand-holding. Ignar's going on Sartorius again.
Sartorius, hits him with the flash before flash comes down from Sartorius. That was, yeah, all right, Ignat. I see your bard. It's good.
I see it. That's one of those interactions that to be on the receiving end of
Tilts
is
you.
very frustrating because it's the same with any kind of like spell shield or if you just dodge. If that second point of contact hits the wall, it doesn't matter how far away you got from the first point, you are getting locked down, my friend. And that's what happened.
Uh-oh.
Ignat.
Wait, he can't take the portal! Destroyed.
I did not realize grounded. Oh, of course, I guess it would.
Because it's technically a dash, I guess?
I guess so? That's not an like a...
Good to know.
I've not seen that before.
Well, that was a nice alert from Ignat. Let's see that again. Yeah, I think he physically just couldn't click it.
To, and he like stands in front of the wall and expects to be able to take it out.
I actually haven't seen that interaction before.
No, neither have I. Today I learned, which...
Because he's trying to be annoying, and he, like, if that miasma wasn't there, he'd be able to get away. Yeah, he can't click it.
He can't click it. That's funny. Okay, that's very funny.
We've learnt a lot, actually, today.
Yeah.
What's the other thing we... Well, Wisdom, this time getting caught out in his own jungle. Sartorius chasing him down. Ah, no, the blue started resetting. So Epsilon probably can't pick up the blue. Noxack's there. Maybe they can. Wisdom's down to half.
Hansama in the bottom lane has Kyrie around. Don't really know whether Hansama wants that 1v1 right now, but he does have a big minion wave with him, so generally that would be able to balance it. Cosq, hang on.
Selfie diving mid lane. Here comes the miasma, so has to be careful of that. Kyrie is there to defend. A flash forwards from Selfie, trying to pick up the skill. Sanguine Pool, he's ticking down.
He's got him.
He's going to try and pick up the kill. It's still very close. Selfie getting so much of his health back from that Crimson Rush. Wisdom's camping on top of the repel. Selfie will finally go down. Kyrie will get javelined for another kill to Wisdom. That was a 2-for-1 trade. Misfits do come out ahead there.
Yeah, 2-for-1 overall there. Selfie going behind the enemy turret looking for the kill in the jungle time and time again. We were talking about how he's going to be confident after his last game. 20 CS up at the same time. Still a CS lead as well in the bottom lane. And Alphari is ahead. Alphari has had a fair amount of time to sit down on a side lane without having to do too much in the way of fighting, whereas Sartorius has constantly been involved and is actually losing out to Wisdom.
Yeah, one-on-one. I mean, it is level 8 versus level 5. Actually just 1v1 by the jungler there.
So Wisdom has gone from dying one-on-one in the enemy jungle to power farming his way up to 56 CS. Now has 2 kills because of a level advantage, where Sartorius hasn't even hit his ultimate yet. This hasn't quite been as catastrophic as the last game for Epsilon, but it is starting down the same path very quickly.
I think you also have to turn your attention to the CS differentials in every single role.
Yeah.
Alphari, 45 to 17. Ignat, he is... I mean, he took the portal this time, but he still got killed. He is level 4. Selfie being pushed out, but he has a 20 farm advantage in the mid lane, almost more than that, almost up to 30 now. Bot lane has an advantage of 10 CS. Top lane literally doubles the CS, Gangplank up against Rumble. So even though Misfits are trading kills back and forth, they are so far ahead in terms of gold just because of how the CSing has gone in the lanes.
Yeah, luckily 2 assists has helped Sartorius keep relatively even, but Alphari does have the experience advantage at least, so although they're both level 6, Sartorius is at least half a level up, behind on Alphari. Now we're looking at the 1v1 on 80 carries, which has not really gone Woolite's way, but he's got friends.
He's got the support of the cannon barrage. Wisdom's coming in here. It's still 2 versus 3. Woolite's dropping low, and Wisdom should be able to pick up this kill. That's a 1-for-1 trade on the ADC so far. Alphari late TP. Cosq's into the top lane. Does not get the stun off, but lands the javelin. Wisdom wants to go in. Was not in range for the pounce. He tried it, but Cosq was able to slither away just in time. So ultimately just a 1-on-1 trade.
Yeah, 1-for-1 in that top lane. Man, for now, Misfits, they still have this lead. It's just over 2,000 gold, despite kills being even. So Hansama, you can see what he's trying to do for the rest of this trade. He knows he's boxed in, so out comes the Gangplank ultimate, and Wisdom tries to pull up. So Hansama first baits everybody towards the GPL, then Hansama cuts back in to try and get more damage. Which does actually help them pick up one of the kills onto Woolite. I think Wisdom had it anyway, but from there it's fairly straightforward, and it was an even trade afterwards.
Noxack did have to burn Flash though, so they got the extra summoner there. Noxack could have died. 4 of the kills so far from Epsilon have actually gone on to Keyray, so a lot is on his shoulders to try and make this game go their way. Wisdom as well, despite dying to Keyray in his own jungle, is also putting in a lot of work, 31-0. So it is the battle of the junglers currently. Hansama, there is a Keyray in the bush. Can sidestep the cocoon, and I don't feel like Keyray wants to be here anymore. Wisdom's going to follow after, and there's no way you're going to get away from a Nidley at this point. They're actually going to feed the kill to Hansama.
They want Sartorius. They're just going like, yeah, you take him, we'll get the next
He's
one.
already dead. I mean, everyone was full health, so no one was in danger of dying.
This game, we're continuing where the last one left off, unfortunately, if you're an Epsilon fan.
We're getting to that point for sure.
Yeah. It is. Woolite and Alfari, though. Under the turret, I think Alfari is probably just going to be able to take him out if he goes on this. He's got Selfie there as well.
Yeah, Wisdom is cutting around the mid lane, but so far in this game, Wisdom, Misfits in general, not just Wisdom, do seem to be getting the upper hand. That was not the desired portal from Ignar.
Got him.
And the Woolite is going to recall on the spot where he was trying to get the portal to go to. Yeah, this is just a very weird game. Like, even if you take this game like outside of the context of how this best of 5 has already gone, it's just like kills being traded back and forth, no real objectives being picked up off the back of those kills, and it's just like, all right, we're gonna fight for the sake of fighting, and then just go back to what we were doing, and then rinse and repeat, and that's been this game thus far.
Yep, that has pretty much been everything we've got from this game. Proto belts are plenty for now, 2 already completed. I don't think that Hextech revolver's going towards another one, but
who knows?
Stranger things have happened.
I mean, what else would you pick up from the revolver?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about it. I don't. Yeah,
we've seen it before, but I mean,
just
if you're gonna try and carry, you might as well just try and go all out. Wisdom got it. And Sama just poking away at Woolite, and successful steal on the buff. Misfits will back off. And everything is right with the world. Yeah, pretty much. There's not a whole lot to say until we see these teams start contesting objectives, start taking a little more on the map with 2-2 towers.
Yep.
And as you already mentioned, it's Cloud Dragon, so neither team, unless there is no one there to contest at all, will go for that dragon.
Yeah, nobody wants it. I mean, right now, when we're looking at this game, like Epsilon at least are holding a little closer than previous games. Maybe akin to game 1 or Selfie.
He's caught out after flash over the wall. Sanguine Pool.
Is he actually
He's
out?
still burning. And he's out. He's out.
Proto belt and he's out.
1v3.
Wisdom didn't even care. Wisdom's just here doing Dragon. Epsilon are hardly even going to check it, because why would anybody be soloing Cloud Dragon? Because it doesn't mean anything.
They took it, apparently.
And he's gone.
Next one's going to be Ocean. So, again, not as high priority compared to Mountain and Infernal. Still nice to have, but generally nice to have earlier on into the game. Kozq will find Hansama with the ultimate frozen in. The ult animation is going to be close, and it's 1-1. Hansama comes out on top, but he's bleeding. Kozq will find the kill with the poison in the end for a 1-for-1 trade.
So there was a bit of an assist, goes over to Alfari for that as well. Got the first hit, I believe, as they picked up the kill. Oh, I wasn't sure whether Hansama was going to get that kill, but I guess should have believed in Hansama at that point. Unfortunately, dangerous game. Not enough.
No. Almost. Very, very close. That may have been like the last 2, almost second last tick. Oh, Alfari does a lot of damage. Ignar's there to follow up.
So does Sartorius,
the Equalizer will force out the flash, and the portal will bring both Ignar and Alfari to safety. It is. Oh, apparently nothing's going to happen. So we can see the 1v1 trade. Again,
so
the shootout, the duel.
Hansama didn't have flash, so couldn't really avoid that ult, because you are locked in the direction there.
Tagged by the Noxious Blast at the very last moment. Rip. Otherwise, he would have survived that. Oh, Keyray walks into his own jungle, immediately finds Wisdom and Ignar. So much damage coming in from Nidley, but True Shot Barrage evens up the table. Oh, auto attack follows him down the magical journey and doesn't find the other side of it. Will be forever trapped in that wormhole. Another kill to Epsilon.
As long as there's no Iris on the other side of it.
I mean, apparently, there was no corpse, so apparently just, yeah, got splatted against the Iris. Ripperoo. Selfie will eventually take down this mid lane turret with the help of Hansama and Ignor. Ignor, his bard has been decent. He's had a lot of roams. He's saved a lot of people.
I feel like he's
not been
playing
as flashy.
Quite loose, though.
I feel like everyone is actually
yeah,
on Misfits.
That's fair.
Apart from Alfari. He's just been farming up a storm.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, Selfie's been caught in the enemy jungle. Hansama went for the 1v1 mid lane. Wisdom's be diving turrets.
You say farming up a storm. He's only on 104. Yeah. Wisdom is out farming him from the jungle. So
you're not wrong, Stress.
I'm not trying to nitpick here, Pulse.
I mean, you have a perfectly good piece of criticism, so I'll accept that. Relative to Sartorius, who's actually caught up to him. So in fact, the point is just null and void.
It's fine. Look, it's all good. It's been a weird
Relative
series.
to Noxiac, he has been farming up a storm. I actually wonder how he's doing in terms of his Silver Serpents. Here comes another invade from Misfits. No javelin from Wisdom, so he'll back off.
He is 340 with no upgrades.
It's not even good. I take back that statement entirely. I've been farming up a storm. What has he been doing?
I don't know.
Because he hasn't been making crazy plays like the rest of the players on his team.
He's been reliant on side lane farm being pushed towards him, and you can see like Selfie's absorbing one of them right now on the bottom side. So comparatively, he hasn't always had access to the farm. Sometimes we play that game of tennis when it bounces one way, he bounces back. He will get himself a Rift Herald when it doesn't reset.
That'd be the worst game of tennis if it took that long to bounce back and forth. You just serve and then you just like sit there for like 30 seconds and wait for the ball to get to you.
2 mile an hour serve.
Yeah. Yeah, that would suck.
Tennis is can be boring enough as it is.
That's true. You would not want to slow it down even more. Hansama.
Did he just bait them in?
Oh, this is a lot of damage. Double tap flash. Q kill over to Hansama. He'll back away. Kozq's coming in. He just needs a twin fang for the kill. Kira is going to find Wisdom. He has to flash over the wall. He's poisoned. He may just tick down. He's got the heal coming out. Kira is still chasing after him. Nidalee is away. Noxiac did die, so that's a 1-for-1. And that's it. Okay.
1-for-1, very close on Wisdom dying there as well, but the rest of Misfits managed to get away. Selfie still has his ult and his Proto Belt here. I don't really think he'll go aggressive, but it's Selfie, so who knows? He pops Ghost.
Well, Kira needs to be careful. I think it's just from Crimson Rush. Yeah. He's very speedy. Has the same animation, to be fair.
And the fact that, like, because of Cloud Drake, he's like,
super fast.
Flowing wind all over the place behind himself. Yeah,
that's why Epsilon are keeping their distance from him right now. Tempered Fate onto Noxiac, but Epsilon still take the mid tower.
I guess that explains why it's only like plus 15 movement speed.
Yeah,
it's just a little tailwind coming out.
That's true.
So
I mean, it's just a sick play, but.
I mean, Hansama just is walking the wrong way down. If he cuts left out of that because he's trying to avoid the Ezreal ultimate, if that Ez ult isn't there, he probably gets away from that because he doesn't have to walk down towards Kozq. So the 20-minute Baron play.
And they have absolute vision here because they have 2 pink wards, so there's no way it could be warded. But Epsilon, with everyone off the map, will head over here. So Misfits have to stop it for now. Not quite the same sneak Baron that we saw game 1 from Epsilon. Just 21 minutes in, and there is a gold lead to Misfits. It's not game ending.
Yeah, not as significant as the previous games have been. Although when you look at the individual roles, you do start to see a couple of differences. A lot of this gold lead is between Hansama and Ezreal and Woolite. So, I mean, that's 3 for 3 on that happening.
Indeed. I mean, it's not quite as bad as the first 2 games. There's definitely, relative to the first 2 games, this has been slower. With 16 kills at 21 minutes, you would typically say is a fast game in EULCS. But yeah, between these 2 teams, generally we've seen Misfits just have a ridiculous gold lead. And yeah, again, There's kind of more stare downs. The difference in this game is teams have not really been picking up objectives off the kills. Oh, but everyone is quite strong.
I'm trying to find silver linings for Epsilon without being disingenuous, because I just have felt like watching these games, there haven't been a lot of positives. Like maybe the partnership between Kairi and Cosq has been better than previous weeks as we look towards the fight starting.
Ignore going to receive the True Shot Barrage. Misfits probably don't want this fight anymore, and they are scattered. Epsilon may be able to find one exit kill, but they are still dancing around them. Miasma will keep them more bay. Cosq's looking for an ultimate. Will have to flash away. Kira's going to take the Javelin. Ignor's just kind of dancing around Cosq. Oh, he gets hit by the Q.
Oh,
he's ticking down. Heal. Not going to be enough. Cosq will get that one kill. Where are Misfits going? They're going into the mid lane to try and take this tower.
No, they're trying to stop Epsilon. They're already taking it down.
Yeah, well, Kira drops immediately. There's the equalizer. Sartorius needs to be careful. He gets destroyed by Selfie. Now he's chasing after them. Nice Howling Tornado will knock him up. Wisdom's falling after Warlight, but he's not going to win this trade. Selfie will have to come in there to try and save him. Tides of Blood. Handsama chasing after Cosq. He's got no ultimate.
No flash for Handsama.
Will give him a shield. And he's still chasing after him. Handsama needs to be very careful. Yeah, Miasma will stop him, but Alfari and Wisdom are on their way up.
Up the river they come.
Do they know there's a snake in the grass?
Handsama check.
Noxiac, he's backing away. Oh, needs to be careful. All right, he stops the recall. Miasma, maybe he can pick up a kill in return. Nope, Ignore, he's back from the grave to get his revenge.
Oh, man. Oh, and straight into the Baron as well. I mean, that whole sequence, Epsilon were trying to continue to push on for a tower to get something in exchange. This Baron is dying fairly quickly, despite being so early on in the game.
All right, well,
no,
it's on
too
you.
early.
No.
Oof. Oh, Handsama was the one that got it.
Okay. Still, Misfits with the Baron, and now this game has really started to turn significantly in their favor. This was weird.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird because Epsilon at this point, they're already committing to the mid lane push, which means that Misfits will just rotate around and kind of collapse in from behind. So this is a fine play if you're on even standing, because generally Cosq can do enough to zone here, but you can see they are most certainly not on even standing once this fight actually starts. It's not a fight that Epsilon can actually afford to take here, and realistically it's only mobility that prevents Misfits from getting these kills initially here. They can't quite close the distance, which prolongs the fight, but the actual strength of Misfits is such that if they had the ability to close that gap, they would have killed Epsilon and gone Baron even faster.
Yeah, and just the final blow to Alfari.
Oh.
So
Epsilon won this again.
Yeah, Epsilon coming in here. Kira will jump forward. He did build the Proto Belt. Everyone trapped in there from the Tempered Fate. Cosq and Warlight set up to be taken down by Handsama. Wisdom's following after as well. There's one kill. There's 2, 3. Stealthy coming in from the top side. And the middle turret is being sieged in as well. Ignore coming up big. Again in game 3. Definitely my player of the game if we had one. And Wisdom is going to tank up the tower and straight up die. Middle tower. Unfortunately, there's no minions for a little bit, so they need to be a little bit careful. But 20 seconds remaining on 3 of the members from Epsilon. Sartorius does have his ultimate and Noxiac, so they should be able to survive for now, but they are going to lose an inhibitor.
At least the one for now. I mean, they're going to turn around here and potentially kill Sartorius if they weren't so low health, but you can see how low Handsama is right now. Misfits are going to back away. We are only 25 minutes into this game, so closing out quite that quickly is not really an option, but you look at how strong they are, and realistically, we're one fight away from this game being over.
Pretty much. Epsilon are on their final legs in this series. It has been a very fast one. They need to pull some magic out of their hats in this game. Because they are very far behind. There's a Baron on Misfits. There's only been 1 dragon picked up, but yeah, I just fail to see what they can do. They have 2 Proto Belts. So that's nice. But other than that, I'm not
really
really sure.
hope, like, proto belts are like Batman's utility belts.
Well, that's what you have to hope.
Anti-Misfits 3.0 spray.
That would be helpful.
I mean, it would.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about all I think would be the conclusive end to this if they were to win this. But, I mean, Epsilon, it's a tough one because they've never really been in a situation where they've been in enough control to win a game.
Damn, that 200 range nerf from my ultimate. Otherwise, that would have been a kill. Cosq and Sartorius pretty much getting soloed by Alfari's ultimate. Sartorius is going to go down. Kirei trying to skirt outside of the cannon barrage. Woolite just comes in from the bot side and jumps into the team, instantly dies. Alfari flashes forwards to get the angle on the barrel. Both of them drop there. Triple kill from Wisdom. Self-killed Handsama. Yeah, we're just finishing off the Nexus. And Noxiac is by himself trying to defend. And just like that, Misfits will come in for the win here. And to be expected, you have to feel Misfits just having a little bit of fun as well as this game ends. Very decisive win, very decisive series. Misfits toying with their food.
Yeah, the minions are going to end this one at a minimum. This is Misfits making their way to the Challenger Series Finals.
Yep, pretty much. I mean,
commanding fashion.
Very, very impressive from Misfits. Kind of what we expected, and they did it with style as well. I mean, honestly, in the last 2 games, they did not try hard to finish off those games. Like, they knew that they had the game by, like, mid-game. They knew they had last game by 5 minutes in and just literally played for kills, yeah. Honestly. Like, yeah, they could have closed that game out maybe 5 minutes faster. They could have closed the other game 5 minutes faster. Doesn't matter. They still picked up the 3-0 very, very convincingly against Epsilon. To be fair, Epsilon looked better in game 1, but we saw all that go out the window in game 2. Maybe a little bit better in game 3 as we had a lane swap and they could like actually get further into the game before going for objectives, before going for trades. But we saw a very similar story as the game progressed.
Yeah, it's so similar, and a lot of the reason for game 3 is, like, as you said, lane swap from Epsilon. Also, then they picked like this Ezreal Janna to try and sit all the way back, and I mean, it worked in the sense that like the bot lane had less deaths this game than previous games. They weren't in a 2 versus 2 situation constantly getting caught out. I mean, games 1 and 2 both had double kills in lane, in standard lanes, which we almost never see. Like, that is so rare these days that you lose a double kill in a 2 versus 2 for nothing.
But to be expected, honestly, from Handsama and Ignar, they've been very impressive, and if nothing else, more impressive on LAN. Yeah, I'm just very excited to see them go into the promotion tournament. I really want to see them perform against some of the LCS teams because I think it could be very interesting. Because there's a very real possibility of seeing them actually get 2v2 kills. Because Ignar was landing like great hooks. He was landing great tempered fates. Alistair as well. I don't think people will make the same mistakes that like allowed him to go for those engages in the laning phase as Alistair. But still, I was really impressed by Ignar. Like, I think he was probably the MVP for, if not 2 of those games, all 3 of those games for me.
Yeah, I think it's difficult. Like, if we were doing player of the game, like, we would be committing like votes to this. I think this is a tough series to note, apart from maybe game 2. I think Ignar is like 100% game 2 player of the game, but like the other games, like Selfie had a bad start in game 1, but then got a quadra kill. Like, Alfari did a good job all 3 games.
Alfari stole a Penta, so he should get that one.
Wisdom in game 3 went off. Like, there's just so many options that like these players are completely outplayed.
That's true.
It's one of these series where I'm like, I wish we could talk about more. Because unfortunately, there wasn't a lot really to break down other than them just kind of rolling over them and crushing them.
I mean, before we kind of close this one down, like talking about Epsilon as well, like at least maybe looking towards next split for these guys, they still have shining lights on that team. Like Cosq, I think performed fine in like all the games we saw him. Game 1 was particularly impressive. Kirei was actually pretty good in the series, and Sartorius as well. We didn't see a lot from him because he just kind of got wrecked after the lane's already crumbled, and then people rotated to his lane, and it was like, well, I can't win 1v3. Bot lane was underwhelming considering how they did in the regular season. I wasn't expecting that performance out from Woolite and Noxiac, but yeah, the pressure was too much from Hansam and Ignar. So I don't know. I think that triangle, like Koskyu, Kirei, and Sartorius was still pretty strong. Like, they did do well in those games, but it just wasn't enough.
And I think we've seen them do well in previous games as well, right?
Yeah.
That's I think the frustration when you look at their 2-0 week compared to this week. Obviously, there's a big difference in their opponents, but like we just didn't really see a lot from Epsilon. Like, I don't know whether they just had either had a game plan and they could never play it out, or whether they just didn't really have the plan for more than one game, because they had it in game 1 and then games 2 and 3 could never really find a foot.
That seemed to be pretty much the story there. We are going to take a look at the final fight, though, in the top lane from that last game, and just break that one down real quick. But, I mean, every single game was just...
You can hear it.
Yeah, you can,
but we'll
you can
see
hear
it soon.
Yeah, it's not going to just be like a radio cast. We don't have to just imagine what's going on. But
yeah, it'll be on your screen in just a second, guys. We are just waiting for that replay to come up. So this is Noxiak at the end of it, kind of just staying alive. We didn't actually catch Hans Sammer pushing into the rest of the base from here, but needless to say, it was a pretty quick and swift end to this game. This was top lane, just so much damage. Woolite goes forward here, trying to go aggressive, and Wisdom's already got himself a double kill. Koskyu desperately trying to hold on at the end of this one to some sense of semblance, trying to get that double stun off, but at this point Misfits already kind of in front of the Nexus, and I guess we don't need to see the rest of that. And surprise!
Just like magic!
Magic of showbiz.
Selfie. But yeah, we just brought you here for a quick interview before we wrap this one up. And what a crazy game, or what a crazy series. I mean, this was over so quickly. We've been here for like 2 hours, and the series is already over. So congratulations. I mean, honestly, just like talking about that series, did you feel at any stage that you were going to be threatened by Epsilon, or was it just...
Well, to be honest, in game 1 was... we were a bit worried about our early game, but even if we fall behind, especially I was really behind this game because I made overextended, but we didn't really feel threatened because we usually, even if we fall behind in early game, we do well in mid game and late game. So maybe just game 1 we were a bit worried, but other than that, yeah, I think we were not really worried, especially after game 2 and game 3. People already were like kind of relaxed in the gameplay, like just going for some plays. But yeah,
I want to ask about game 1 because that's the interesting one. The Malzahar, you blind picked it. Was it something you've worked on? Was it something you think is very strong? What was the thinking behind Malzahar? It was fun to watch.
Yeah, so I practiced a lot of Malzahar. Even before I saw anyone play it, I just seen like one solo queue player play it, and he wrecked me super hard. Not really in lane, but like in late game it was super strong. So I was thinking about picking it up. I asked mid laners around, but no one really told me it's good. So I tested it myself. I saw it's good, and maybe into Casio it's not like the greatest matchup because she can take your passive very easily with her W or Q, and with the fire touch, your shield recovers longer because it has stick. And yeah, it's just, I think it's blind pickable, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what we were surprised about, the fact that you like blind picked it and then Cassiopeia was picked up. Yeah. Were you aware of that interaction where if you both ult at the same time, then Malzahar gets wrecked?
I didn't think of that at the time, but even if I think it was just really bad by me, but I didn't think of that. But
I
yeah.
don't think so. I mean, like you can't really predict that Cassiopeia is gonna do that at the same time, but it was still good to watch.
From that game, there was nearly a penta for you for Malzahar.
Yeah.
How's that been with Alphari the last 2 hours? You mad at him?
It was funny because everyone was shouting penta, 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 especially like our Koreans were super loud. And Alphari is like not saying anything. It's like he's surprisingly quiet. And then I just hear, pick.
I know, that was like the perfect setup as well for a penta where everyone kind of just backed away.
I could redeem myself after the terrible early game.
Unbelievable. But how was preparation coming into this match as well, Selfie? Were you looking at someone in particular? Did you have like a game plan going into it? Or were you just like, let's just win our lanes, let's just go for these picks that are going to win laning phase and just try and win it that way?
So I think our preparation was not really good this week because we got a lot of scrims cancelled from a lot of teams, and we didn't really want to scrim like even like outside of Europe League teams. And I think my condition today was really bad too. I didn't have much sleep. Same for my old teammates because we're a bit nervous, I would say. But yeah, just a little bit lack of practice. But we were not really that worried about the series. Other than like after the game one, no one was really worried that we can win.
Yeah, I mean, the nerves didn't show at all from what we saw there.
Yeah, very convincing games 2 and game 3. So your series completed. You're in the finals. Tomorrow we have Huma versus Millennium. Do you have any thoughts on which team you think will be facing off against you next week in the finals?
Well, to be honest, I like a lot of Millennium players and a lot of Huma players. So I will not say my prediction who will win.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah,
well,
but I think both teams are pretty strong.
Yeah, I think so too. It will be a very interesting one to watch. And thank you very much for the interview, and congratulations, of course, on the win. 3-0 in just over 2 hours. Very, very impressive. But we are going to now round out the show. So make sure to tune in again tomorrow. As we were just talking about, Vedius and Sifa will be taking over the caster desk to bring you the second semi-final between Huma and Millennium.
Yeah, it's going to be a close series. I think a little closer than today's, perhaps, and we'll see who faces off against Misfits. But, as always, if you missed any of the games today, you want to recap on anything to do with Challenger, head over to eu.lolesports.com.
Yes, indeed. And also make sure to tune in again at 2 a.m. CET or 5 p.m. Pacific time if you are over there on Wednesday, Primetime League, where this guy is going to fack off against FNC's Spirit.
That recording that segment was very funny. Very, very funny. After that, the North American Challenger Series semi-final is going to be taking place between Team Liquid Academy going up against Nova. So that's going to start Wednesday, 3 a.m. CEST, Tuesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, if you're a time traveler like us.
Yes, and so there's a lot of Challenger action and action of League of Legends coming your way all over the world, but that is it from us. So from myself, Stress, and Selfie, and the Challenger broadcast team, thank you for watching, and Sifa and Vedius will be bringing you their best of 5 tomorrow, so tune in then. Good night. Yep. Ignore, he's gonna literally just walk up to Noxiac. He actually just walked up slowly and knocked up Noxiac, and will probably be looking for the kill here as well with the Ignite First Blood to Handsammer. As meanwhile, Handsammer driving low to Warline. He's gonna flash after him, but he's outside of range. Handsammer's already backing off, but Kiray's here. He'll flash into his own jungle. Warline's trying to pick up the kill, but it's not like he has E. Now he's trapped in the enemy jungle. Oh no, Misfits are just gonna kill him. Selfie's low as well. Whoa, auto attack from Warline. It's not gonna be enough. Kiray is trying to save his allies. What was this level 1? Oh no, Warlight, he's got nowhere to go.
Put more traps.
Try and cut off the escape route. Handsammer's gonna flash after him. Warlight, everyone chase down Warlight. Here's the hunting party. Selfie's gonna find him. 21 minutes. If anything, Misfits should be disappointed that they didn't get the fastest game in the world. At least they got wisdom. Jeremy has to have earlier on into the game. Kozq will find Handsammer with the ultimate frozen in. The ult animation is going to be close as well. Handsammer comes out on top, but he's bleeding. Kozq will find the kill with the poison. Kiray walks into his own jungle, immediately finds Wisdom and Ignar. So much damage coming in from Nidalee, but True Shot Barrage evens up the table. Auto attack follows him down the magical journey.
No, they're trying to stop Epsilon. They're already taking it down.
Yeah, well, Kiray drops immediately. There's the equalizer. Sartorius needs to be careful. He gets destroyed by Selfie. Kiray will jump forward. He did build the Proto Belt. Everyone trapped in there from the Tempered Fate. Kozq and Warlight set up to be taken down by Handsammer. Wisdom's following after as well. There's 1 kill. There's 2, 3. Stealthy coming in from the top side. And the middle turret is being sieged in as well.
It's a tough one because they've never really been in a situation where they've been in enough control to win a game.
Damn, that 200 range nerf from my ultimate. Otherwise, that would have been a kill. Kozq and Sartorius pretty much getting soloed by Alfari's ultimate. Sartorius is going to go down. Kiray trying to skirt outside of the cannon barrage. Warlight just comes in from the bot side and jumps into the team, instantly dies. Alfari flashes forwards to get the angle on the barrel. Both of them drop there. Triple kill from Wisdom. Selfie and Handsammer. Yeah, we're just finishing off the Nexus.